But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please! Please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. It's a pain in the butt when you mute yourself. Don't do that. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night. Happy Valentine's Day. And, well, as you know, on Troubled Minds, we like to do things a little differently. And what that means is we're not doing a Valentine's Day special. That's not how Troubled Minds typically rolls. We're here with our good friend Daryl in New York and talking about Morgellons tonight. We'll get to that as we go, but if you're wondering how you got here and what the hell all this is, well, let me sum up because there's way too much to explain. This is a show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are: aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, tonight is going to be no different. Again, the Valentine's Day special will be Morgellons and the weirdness of this. And there's a whole lot to it. But of course, we do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And that's what's going on. We're streaming on Rockfan, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you want to, the easiest way to listen to us, of course, is just download the Fringe app. You can find that at your favorite app store, iTunes or Android, and it's free. And just smash the button at 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and you'll get Troubled Minds, plus all the other great programming on Fringe. And also, please join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat. That will give you direct invite. I'm watching that chat and all the places, trying to catch up, keep up with everybody and all the great thoughts. And that's what's up. And we are live tonight. Let's say hi to Daryl in just a sec. 702-957-1037. If you have comments on this or any of the interesting things we're going to be talking about, you can also click the Discord at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show that way as well. Jump in the caller queue, and that's what's up. All right, let's without further ado, we're here with our good friend Daryl in New York. Daryl, are you there? Do you copy? Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Yes, hi Michael. I'm so excited. Hi everybody from all the Morgellon sites. I welcome you. Marcia is here, one of my best friends. I'm so happy she's here. She's been my friend for a long time. We've both been going through this for a very long time. And I hope she calls in.
Okay, fantastic. Daryl's been talking about this situation, this Morgellons disease, for a very long time with me and with some of the calls he's actually done to the show. We've talked a little bit offline about this, and it seems to be one of those things that's it's terrifying in that imagine being sick, all right, and then trying to tell people you're sick, and you're having like just hellacious symptoms, and even the doctors don't believe you. It turns out to be just one of those wild situations. Again, Daryl here has had Morgellons, and we'll actually get into what she knows about it. Clearly, she's an expert in it because she's been dealing with this for quite some time. And so the question becomes, all right, so as we begin tonight, the question is this, right? If you look at the scientific literature, it's unclear. It's all extremely unclear on what's happening here. And some people do say it's some sort of psychosis, like it's all in your head. But others, right, are like, no, there's something going on here. We just don't know exactly what it is. And to me, like I said, that's one of the most terrifying things, because being ill in any capacity whatsoever is not good. It's just like it's especially if nobody believes you, and especially if the doctors are kind of giving you the side eye and the rest of that stuff. It's terrible. So that's, as we begin tonight. Let's so I'm gonna go through exactly, just because there's a lot of people that don't know what Morgellons disease is. So we'll go through what some of the generic definitions are, Daryl, and then we'll kind of cascade down the rabbit hole as we begin. You okay with that?
I'm fine with that. No problem.
Okay. So we're going to begin here then. Again, 702-957-1037. Reading all the chat. I see you guys out there. Thanks for hanging out with us. Now, this is from WebMD. All right. If you go straight to the the mainstream sources, WebMD is about as mainstream as you can get here. And this is medically reviewed by Jennifer Robinson, May 18th, 2021. Now, this is the definition. This is what it's called and what this is, just from a starting baseline, so you guys understand. What is Morgellons disease? Is a controversial and poorly understood condition in which unusual thread-like fibers appear under the skin. The patient may feel like something is crawling, biting, or stinging all over. Some medical experts say Morgellons is a physical illness. Others suggest it is a type of psychosis called delusional parasitosis, in which a person thinks parasites have infected their skin. Your doctor may call it an unexplained dermopathy. Is that? I guess that's how you say it, which means a skin condition that occurs without a known reason. Other medical professionals dubbed the condition fiber disease. And here's some of the symptoms, and you can add to this, Daryl, if some of this is wrong. Unpleasant skin sensations are the main complaint. People with Morgellons also complain of feeling like bugs are crawling all over the skin, burning or stinging sensations under the skin, intense itching, skin sores that appear suddenly and heal slowly, and sores that leave very red scars, hyperpigmented scars. Some patients report thread-like fibers stuck in the skin. People with Morgellons sometimes complain of other symptoms, which include hard time paying attention or concentrating, extreme fatigue, hair loss, joint and muscle pain, nervous system problems, tooth loss, sleep problems, and short-term memory loss. So I think that's probably, there's more here, of course, because it's WebMD, and they're pretty good in the sense of they at least try and be thorough here. But okay, so with that said, Daryl, now is there something they left out there? Is that a good baseline to start here?
It's a good baseline. I mean, there's a laundry list of symptoms, which is maddening. You also have fibromyalgia. Let me think what you might have missed. Sometimes calloused feet, hives, swollen legs, hallucinations, auditory and visual as well. There's anxiety and severe joint pain. I think that I might have left out quite a few, but there's a huge laundry list. And you don't feel well. You definitely think there's something foreign in you. I mean, when I first came down with it, I felt I was totally alone. I didn't think anybody in the world had it. I thought I had the weirdest condition and nobody would believe me. And I was right. And I had to look on the internet to see if anybody, if there's anybody else that was suffering from this, or if I could find out any information. And I was shocked when I found a community full of people, but I still wasn't diagnosed. I don't know if Steve Bedingfield is in the audience. He's a big guy in the Morgellons community. that recommends a lot of different treatments, including, believe it or not, ivermectin, which I've tried. And you try everything.
Okay.
You look for help, you don't feel well.
Real quick, Daryl, real quick. I don't want to get us taken down, so I'm going to say this. We're not doctors. This is not medical advice, okay? So make sure you consult your doctor and all the rest of this. So we may throw out some of these things because Daryl has dealt with this condition and tried some things. So that does not mean this is not a cure for anything, okay? I just want to clarify, Daryl. Sorry to interrupt you. Go right ahead.
No, we're not doctors, and we're not even experts. We're all searching for the truth here. I mean, we don't know the cause of it. We don't know, the treatment for it. There's no known treatment, though there's a lot of things we've tried, and we've tried everything. And people have bankrupted themselves trying just about anything that anybody else has tried, but we're not doctors. We're not going to recommend anything. You have to do your own research. Do everything with caution. Don't try to self-medicate. Try to get a doctor to work with you. This is the challenge, because most of your doctors, if you haven't experienced this yet, will probably treat you terribly. You go in there feeling terrible, and you're hoping that they're going to help you, and you pray that they will, because you respect them, or you did respect them in the past. And they look at you like you're nuts, and they want to put you immediately on something, without even examining you, without ruling out parasites or ruling out any of your conditions. They want to immediately send you to a psych ward. And these people, some people have been sent to psych wards, and they're suffering from Morgellons, and now they're locked up. So it's the worst thing that could happen to somebody. Nobody has any. The empathy is very lacking in the research of this all, and many people will find that their family, their friends, their doctors have all turned their backs on them, and we feel very isolated and very much alone. And I think, it's current with what's going on today with other conditions, and people are suffering from reactions to certain medications that were forced on them, and they're wondering, where's the help for this? There's no medical coding for certain things. There's no money to be made off of helping people with Morgellons. There's no known medication. So there's no incentive for a doctor to treat you, That's one of the problems.
Yeah, and then again, in some cases, that the doctors can even perform an examination, have nothing, right? And so it's one of those things that, as it said in the WebMD, just to begin here, is that even trust the science. Even medical science still doesn't know what to do with this, right? They're still trying to figure out what the hell is going on, because clearly it's something. It's not like, if you think in terms of being sick and diseases and spreading, bacteria or viruses, things like this, right? We're not going to get into that. That's a whole other thing. But if it's just thinking in general terms, sort of like that, you would expect that if this was in a psychosis somehow, it would just be in somebody's head, and that would be that. But it's not just one person. Like you said, you felt alone, like you were the only person in the world experiencing this. But the more you dig into it, the more you realize, hey, there's a lot of people that are having not just these symptoms, but also not getting treated or helped, other than, hey, let's put them in a padded room, right? Let's give them their Thorazine drip or whatever it is, and just put them in the room and, get them out of here because they're bothering us, right? We got real medical work to do, And that's the unfortunate part about all this, because if it is in just somebody's imagination, then only one person would have it. How do you spread a mind virus, Daryl? Is that possible?
It's not a collective consciousness. It's not an internet virus, as some have claimed. You get it from the internet. But there's so many weird elements to it. It's hard to describe it. It's constantly morphing, and there's variants, and it changes kind of constantly every day. It's like a new nightmare every day. Waking up with Morgellons is just you never know what it's like a terrorist has invaded your body. Some kind of smart terrorist or smart. They related to smart dust. If you ever listen to Harold Vella Katz, I recommend him highly. I think we've posted some of his videos into the YouTube channel, so you can research any of the things that we've posted. He did some research. He wasn't even told about it. He had done research already on mad cow disease, and he saw a very similar correlation. And he went even further. He's a very smart guy, this guy. I recommend him highly. Ryan Gable, on the Fringe Network has interviewed him. I totally recommend you going straight to him if you want to learn a lot about it and see it in action. There's also live videos of live Morgellons and hundreds of them, thousands even, He's taken a lot of care to, research it carefully. And there is something related with Lyme disease as well. Lyme disease is another one that's also been, maligned in the medical field. Insurance companies don't want to cover it. The amount of antibiotic use you can use is, they don't like to, pay for them. The amount of doxycycline they recommend, well, they just don't like to cover it. So it's very difficult to get treated even for Lyme disease, which have a lot of similarities to Morgellons disease. Very, very similar. There's a spirochete. It's called, there's Borrelia. I'm just going to name a few of the things, that I know that were found. It's a multisystemic autoimmune disorder is what they call it. And it's not just one thing. It's chronic, unfortunately. But suddenly, without being treated, you're going to get co-infections. And these are the problems. You start getting other, viruses that are related to it. So you can wind up getting very, very sick. And I just was listening to something today about people with Alzheimer's who were all tested positive for Lyme disease, which was, they can't ignore Lyme disease anymore. I think Lyme disease is going to make its headway very soon, hopefully, to be respected as a very serious and very rampant infection among a lot of the population. People don't even know they have it,
Yeah, I was reading a little bit about this, and it does seem there is a link between Lyme disease and this. Like some are calling it possibly a precursor to what this leads to. And Lyme disease, of course, you get it from fleas, ticks, that sort of thing. And once it gets into your system, you can never kick it. You have it for life. That's not going away. And so Lyme disease is one of those interesting ones. A long time ago, I worked with a young lady who got it. She was camping, just got like a tick, by a tick or something. And she had these bizarre symptoms where she would just become weak for no apparent reason, right? And you can't really treat it, right? You can't really, there's no cure for this stuff. It's so insane that even today, right, we have all the medical miracles and things that we can do with just science in typical, but we end up still with no way to stop this sort of stuff. It's absolutely wild to me. And then not even that, we can't even quantify exactly what it is. That's the worst part here. Right. Yeah. So what we're going to talk about tonight is exactly that. And as we dig into this, there's some other parallels I was thinking about. We'll get to those as well, including maybe Havana syndrome, because of course they say in terms of Havana syndrome itself that it's they don't know exactly what's causing that either. And in some cases now they're starting to say it's a psychosis. It's people are imagining explain to me, Daryl, how do you imagine brain damage? How do you, I mean,
I think we pick something a lot more sexier than Morgellons if we were going to imagine a condition. It's not very sexy. It's not hot. No, there's nothing hot about it.
No, definitely not hot.
Hot.
Not hot. It falls in the not hot category. Okay, so what we're doing tonight, of course, we're here with our good friend Daryl in New York, and we're taking your phone calls. Have you heard of Morgellons disease? Do you suffer from this? There's a lot of people out there that do suffer from this. And again, we're not doctors, and we're not trying to come up with a cure or anything tonight. Nothing like that. But we are trying to get the word out that hey, there's something out there, and we still don't know what it is. And that's the worst thing here is that there's no actual oh, well, here's the critter that caused it, right? Here's the thing that did it. No, nothing like that. And that's what makes this all the more terrifying is that people get it. Some people shake it. Some people don't. Some people live with it for their entire lives. And it's horrifying. I mean, look, we'll go back to the laundry list there of things like that, just the itching and it feels like there's something crawling under your skin and all the rest of this. That's just like something out of Aliens, just terrifying. So if you want to be part of the show, number the questions tonight. Have you heard of Morgellons disease? Number 2, have you or do you know anybody who's ever suffered from this? And what do you think causes it? And of course, right, this is Troubled Minds. We do what's called drinking the maybe juice. And I can't help but think that, let's say we're going to go way out there for a minute, just to because you guys know us, we like to consider all the possibilities. But what if there was some sort of pathogen created by, I don't know, let's say aliens, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. And they wanted to drop it down here as a test or who knows, maybe it's a DARPA thing. I have no idea, right? Because we do know the government does some pretty strange test type things on people in the past. I mean, who knows? So I'm throwing all the ideas out there to kind of begin with. But what do you think this is? All these are horrifying symptoms again. We'll go through them one more time. But 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. I'd love to hear from you. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. You're on with Mike and Daryl. Go right ahead.
Hey, I wanted to say just one thing quick. Like they say, like psychosis, it's pretty like a broad category. So, but like the medication is not broad at all. So like if you know, or you've like been around people who are like mentally ill or like they have psychosis, likely they're on the same medication as the next person that has it. And I think that's iffy.
Oh, you mean that they sort of treat like a one size fits all treatment? They just here's your crazy drugs, go away type of thing.
Yes, they put you on antipsychotics. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, I'm just saying some of the things are funny because they have an antihelminthic property to it, which is funny. So they kind of do treat fungal infections, like something with azoles, imidazole. I can't pronounce them, but I know that they've treated people with these antipsychotics or antidepressants, but some of them actually do kind of work temporarily on some of the symptoms because they have an anti-fungal property to them. Anything with an azole is somewhat antifungal. I've learned. Anyway, continue. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I think also they're all experimental too. I don't know if they've done tests on like animals. I'm sure they have, but it's still experimental. They don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's just a lot of them, if not all of them, are experimental. They say.
Yeah,
except like some of the main ones they say are not experimental, but it really is got to be an experiment.
Oh yeah, the side effects too are just also very detrimental. I mean, if you don't have a psychosis and you take an antipsychotic medication, I'll tell you the truth. I had seizures. They put me into seizures. I'm not psychotic, and they recommended antipsychotics, so I learned the hard way. They just broadly recommend things that are just not right, So you got to be very careful. You have to have a good doctor. I mean, it's very difficult. I've had doctors treat me, and there is some good news, but I can't really get into too much detail. But some things do help, and some things work. Some things worked for me, so I've got to say I'm in remission right now, just to give you some good news. So there is hope. There is hope. It's not hopeless.
That's a good thing. Well, we got about 30 seconds, Joseph. Anything else while we got you on the phone, my friend?
No, that was really it. That first thing I said.
Okay. Appreciate it very much. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Links in the description. Appreciate it. Great call as always, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Yep.
There you go. Easy as that. Phone line works. Thanks to Joseph for testing it out and making sure we're solid and good to go. 702-957-1037. We're here with our good friend Daryl in New York, who also has a YouTube channel, by the way. Links in the description. Check it out. She sings in English and French. And we're going to be talking about Morgellons tonight. And what does this mean, right? What is this all about? That's a lot of terrifying connections with this in the sense of where did it come from? There's just so many questions that I have regarding not just the origins, treatments, things like this, which we're not going to get too deep into. But what do you think this is? Is it really a psychosis like they say? I'm skeptical of that in particular because it's not. There's no such thing as a mind virus where you just spread it around because somebody else heard of it on the internet. It doesn't work like that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're here with Daryl from New York. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More Morgellons, psychosis, and science when we return. Be right back. Go ahead and mute up, Daryl. Come get you in a sec.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm getting a drink.
Thank you. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're here with my good friend Daryl in New York, and we're discussing Morgellon's disease. What is this? Some would call it a psychosis, some would call it a mysterious illness. Though, I think nobody can deny that this is a real thing. The question is, where does it come from? What is going on with this? And why is it such a, what would you say, why is it such a sticky subject in the medical community? Why do these types of streams and discussions get taken down off of YouTube? Any idea there, Daryl? Welcome back to the show, by the way.
I don't know. It used to, you couldn't even talk about it because you would get taken down. It was a good way to get taken down off of YouTube. Uh-oh. Do I have too many windows open?
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
that echoes me. I'll turn that off. Sorry about that. Go right ahead.
Yeah, you could get deleted. You could get disbanded in the past. I guess now they don't care about Morgellons anymore. But what's funny about Morgellons is you don't get sick from other things. It's like a superbug. Marcia used to have a channel on Morgellons called Silent Superbug, something like that. I hope she calls in. She knows a lot about this. She did a lot of research. She had a lot of followers. She deleted her channel. But she used to have this great video where she took a little scab off of her neck and put it under a microscope. And literally there were 13 digits on it that would change. They literally change before your eyes and then spell something out. And this was the size of something as big as your fingernail, so small. And that's something so weird about it. It has some sort of intelligence, some sort of program. It's like practically a little program in you. I was seeing something today, I think I posted it, about the self-assembling nanoparticles, and they use electricity or some kind of wavelength to assemble themselves, and they can grow exponentially without any. I don't even know if they're artificial or they're real, but for something they're like self-assembling nanomites, which is really frightening. And I've seen this recently in some other products that they're encouraging people to take for their health, which we're not going to mention, but there's a lot of similarities, in the two of them. And there's a lot of gaslighting and shaming, that goes along with Morgellons. We're constantly shamed that we're, that we're imagining this or whatever, instead of dealing with us directly, no matter how hard, you try. Nobody wants to believe you. You can't convince your parents or your friends or your family that there's something really, really wrong with you. It's not something you're imagining. You're not crazy. You almost want to get better as much as you want people to believe you. I don't know what was more important to me, just to have somebody believe me than, to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like some relief from just the stress of, because the thing is, if nobody believes you, then you start to doubt yourself. You're like, so what kind of reality am I living in? Is this real? This seems very real, but everybody around me thinks I'm nuts. That's not a fun existence at all. We're here with a good friend, Daryl in New York. We're talking about Morgellon's disease, and some call it psychosis. Some call it black goo and other things, right? I'm not going to get into the nanos because, I don't want to get taken down from YouTube. But we do have a couple of phone calls, so let's do that. So, what are your thoughts on this? What are your ideas? What is this, and where does it come from? I think that's probably a good way to start this discussion tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. I think this is M in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Hello, hello. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Daryl. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Canada.
M from Canada.
Edmonton, Alberta.
Right on. Right on.
I go by M from Canada 1 from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Okay. Welcome to the show. It looks like you do know a little bit about Morgellons here. So go right ahead, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This is M from Canada 1. I used to have a YouTube channel named Morgellons Cover Up. And Daryl and I became friends through both of us having Morgellons disease. And I started with a group online, and there was somebody trying to help us, and he was trying to tell us what was wrong with us. And he made a video, several videos. This was going back to 2004. Now, this disease, many people don't realize, has been going for at least 20 years, and I would say probably even 40 years. So a lot of patients, the majority of the patients came out around the year 2000 and a little bit after. And it's absolutely not got anything to do with being mentally ill at all, except that it could cause you severe stress and anxiety because you're not getting any help from the medical establishment. And then you lose your job. You may lose all your finances. You don't get any help from your family because everybody thinks that you're crazy. And actually, pets get it. Dogs and cats get it. And a lot of people on the support groups are asking for help for their pets. So pets are suffering from psychosis, and the reason that doctors do it is there's no box on the forms that they submit to get paid. There's no box for Morgellons. So in order for them to get paid, they have to check something. So mental illness, for the most part, there's nothing you can test for. There are a few of them, but for the most part, there's no test. So the doctor can tick that box and get paid. And he doesn't help you. They reject you. They're horrible. I even had a doctor once actually remove a moving fiber from my finger with a tweezer, put it in a container, and told me she was going to send it to the lab. She never did. She told me the lab said there was nothing in the container. So I called the lab, and the lab said they never received it. So this is what you're up against, and it's a nightmare. There's numerous support groups. People have committed suicide. They've jumped out of airplanes. They've jumped off buildings. They just can't take the suffering. So the suffering that comes from this is not just physical, but it causes extreme anxiety, worry, and concern because you're literally abandoned.
Yeah.
Right. You're right.
So that.
Go ahead, Daryl.
No, I'm with Marcia. You know, we've been going through this for so many years together. I wanted to talk about something with Marcia also about the kind of like paranormal aspect of Morgellons. You know, the things that we experience and that we see, and we can see this stuff everywhere. I mean, I felt like the world was getting infested with it, and we were going to get covered in it because they could grow so quickly. And we saw it. We saw it crawling on other people. We could see it in other people. We could see it in our food. We could spot it a mile away. Once you have it infested in you, and literally, I mean, I think every pore in my body literally was intertwined with Morgellons. It's like something that wraps around every fiber in you, including your fibers, including your hair, like Morgellons hair. A lot of people shave their heads because they have Morgellons. And I suspect that Britney Spears might have been suffering from Morgellons, and so was George Bush Sr. You remember when they both shaved their heads? When you see a celebrity shaving their head, you got to start questioning what was their motivation, because so many people suffering from Morgellons will shave their heads rather than endure the kind of crawling through your hair that you have. And I do have a video with this stuff crawling on my hands and in my hair, and it's very visible. There's no doubt about it. You don't need a microscope. You can see these little dots. that are all over my hands. And I've been getting a lot of attention, probably thanks to you, Michael, for people going to my channel, because I've been getting a lot of, responses and comments in my YouTube channels with that particular video that's got very popular, just because it's visible. It's very visible. So people, they know they have this, and they've seen it on themselves. And Marcia's seen it on herself. Marcia always has, she has active lesions. She has active fibers, and they are active. And they're like tubular. I want Marcia to go on and explain to everybody the similarities between that and the blood clots they've been witnessing lately that look very similar to big, giant Morgellons. Marcia, you want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, Marcia.
Can you hear Daryl? Could you hear him?
Yes, I can. Daryl's right. This Morgellon seems to form a sort of a silicone network, a silicone-like network under the skin, sort of in the flesh. And it's very painful. It causes the flesh, the muscles to be very painful. And I started filming these samples. By the way, I have thousands of videos and thousands and thousands of images, microscopic, and as I went through, I kept having to reduce the magnification lower and lower. So now you can just use your magnifier program on your telephone, and it forms a network through the body, and one must think about it forming like a nervous system, a second nervous system, or something that is going to be used for, I would say, sensing, because the Morgellon's fibers are like a sensor. They sense body heat and they sense breath, and they react to that. So they're kind of sensing. There's a sensory part of it.
There's some. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Daryl.
No, there's something like I was listening to something today about 5G technology, microwave technology, and these polymers that can self-assemble, and how they're such a good conductor for communications, which is scary. And there's some sort of, maybe there's an agenda. Maybe Morgellons was an experiment, we think, some sort of bioweapon that went wrong, or it didn't infect enough people to make it lucrative. It seemed to affect a lot of people, a lot of women postmenopausal, unfortunately, and we started feeling like we were victims because we were like no longer of childbearing age, and we weren't useful to society, or we weren't considered as attractive to men. Maybe, they just wanted to do us in, not, tax the Medicare system. There was some sort of agenda to it, to attack us, but it didn't kill us, so it didn't work, maybe, But there was something like they wanted to use something to program us to see our reactions, which I've just noticed recently that there's something like graphene oxide, which they've been using in experimental ways on people, not knowing necessarily that they're using it to control people, like a sort of a mind control technique. And there was a list of things for people to do. I hope I posted that. I know I posted it in Discord. Of the agenda of like what we could make people do, it was like a very simple list, can we make them cough or sneeze or something like that, just to try it out. So just saying, I'm just saying I don't know anything,
Yeah. I'm from Canada. So what is your best guess here? Is this some sort of actual parasitic thing? What would be your guess if you were just kind of taking a stab at what causes this, where it comes from, that sort of thing?
Well, I absolutely don't think it's to do with parasites. And I'll tell you, I investigated parasites, and most people have parasites. We just don't know it. And some of them are harmless. The majority of them are harmless. And also, they only test for a few parasites because there's only a few parasites that actually are harmful. And if you get tested for them, then there's medicine for that. Now, I firmly believe that this came from a laboratory which is used to create weapons of war. Okay? That's absolutely what I believe. And why is there the big cover-up and the big secrecy? Because they always hide that. They always hide what they're doing from other countries and that sort of thing. And they always try it out on a few people, don't they, to see if it works. And there could be a genetic element in this as well. Using biology and technology to target specific genetics. And a lot of us patients were believing that Morgellon's patients, some of them had the Rh negative in their blood, a lot of them did, or they had a parent that had Rh negative blood. Also, Clifford Carnicom, in his research, discovered that all of the patients who have Morgellon's disease had a chlamydia-like element in their blood. So the blood was altered, okay? So it's like a blood disease almost.
That's super strange.
Transhumanism.
Yeah, something weird with that. You know what? We'll get to that a little bit later, Daryl, too, the transhumanism thing. But so I think Em from Canada, let me tell you this. It wouldn't be the first time something came out of a lab, right? I mean, the recent history tells us there's an awful lot of cover-ups going on and some certain things you can't say. And notice that if it's a normal run-of-the-mill thing, you can talk about it like crazy. But if there's suspicious circumstances where this comes from, then suddenly it's medical misinformation, right? It's a horrific thing. We got a call behind you, so we got to let you go. But please, we do a third hour so we can take more phone calls and spend more time with you. We're just kind of on a radio schedule here, unfortunately. So I'm going to let you go, Em. I appreciate the phone call very much. Please call back a little later in the third hour. That would be 9 p.m. Pacific. And I'd love to hear more from you, okay? Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for participating today.
Thank you, Marsha. Marsha's great. And she's beautiful, too.
Okay, I think just checking. I think I hung up on her. Sorry about that. Yeah, just you're welcome to call back in the third hour. So 702-957-1037. Talking about Morgellon's disease tonight. We're here with my good friend Daryl in New York, and she's had this. And we got one more phone call. Let's go to this. Looking to hear from you guys. What do you know about this? Do you have this? Looks like a lot of people in the chat are actually saying they've had symptoms of this and not exactly sure where it's coming from. So let's go to. It looks like welcome to Troubled Minds, Lisa in Texas. Am I right?
That's correct. How are you?
Doing very well. Welcome to the show. You're on with Mike and Daryl. Go right ahead. What do you know about this Morgellons?
Well, I actually have Morgellons disease, and I don't really know if I want to call it a disease. I think there's other elements to this as well, and I would have to agree with a lot of what I've heard this evening about the parasitic portion of it. I believe there's also a fungal portion of it. I literally contracted it. I don't even know what happened. I know I was down at the river. I was an artifact hunter, and I was at the Brazos River, and I just remember having this black tarry goo on my hands that I could not get off from digging artifacts. And I'll never forget that. It just clung to me. No matter how hard I tried to get it off, it would not come off. And it seemed like it was the very next day I noticed when I was walking barefoot through the grass, I should say, I was going to wash the rocks off, which some would call them, that they were artifacts. And I noticed these white fibers on them and all over them. And next thing I knew, I had seen one shoot into my toe. And I mean, I didn't feel the pain from it, but I had screamed hysterically because it's such a strange occurrence. And, you know, from there on out, my life became a living hell. I was taken away from my daughter, who was only 9 at the time. I was put in for 3 days under an observation in a psychiatric house. You know, when you take someone's human rights to just breathe the air and live and think and do for themselves away, along with a mother who is a good mother and loves their children, and you put them away for something that you're screaming truth on, and then after that you find that you cannot turn to any medical facility, physician, or anyone, that even your own family, after being, you know, completely sane and an upstanding citizen, taxpayer, just what's considered the norm for most, you all of a sudden have the world turn completely against you. And so, in my opinion, there's an element to this that has almost spiritual warfare type element to it, in fact. But you see the world around you change. You see the behavior of your own family, who was once a loving family for some of us, and other people maybe not so much. But it seems like the element is that we all hit rock bottom at some point in our lives. Something really devastating happens, and some of us, have that in common when we find ourselves with this. I want to call it an affliction, but I refuse to give it any power whatsoever, because it doesn't deserve the power. I do believe that our government is well aware of this. I was married to a Navy SEAL for 15 years. He went contract CIA now. We're still very close. I know some of the things that we are in fact capable of. I'm not at liberty to repeat any, because it's let's just put it like this. This is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, for sure. But there is a supernatural side to this. I can tell you that after this happened to me, I started seeing, they were saying you can see it everywhere. You can see it in the trees, in the clouds, in the sky, on your family and friends, in their homes. And I have friends that have had it. Candy Nelson's a good friend of mine. She's had it for 20 plus years. And the thing is, it's definitely, I believe there's a much larger connection involving this. I think this is one small piece of a very gigantic puzzle. And again, this is my opinion, but I went through an awakening, to, if you want to call it what you will, where I started seeing things in the sky. I started noticing that things had changed around me, or maybe they had always been that way, but due to our cognitive dissonance and our systematic way of learning and what was being taught to us, I think the element also in this is that we kind of wake up and see the truth in our own reality, which in fact ended up being a complete and far-fetched lie. A lot of it, including the historical portion of things that we were taught. So I'm speaking for myself, but I have several other Morgellons friends, being that I have my own YouTube channel, Looking God's Child. I have people, that are on, I interview people, and you would be shocked the things that, are actually, in fact, happening along with this. It's not just this. There are so many other very strange spiritual, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of things that go with it, and I just think it's a small piece of a much larger puzzle. So, but I do have people that come on and we can tell things that will help ease it, that will help maybe for a while, but there seemingly is no getting rid of it whatsoever. So yeah, that's just, again, I'm speaking from my own.
Gotcha. So hey, can you do me a big favor? Can you drop me a link of what that your YouTube channel is, and I'll share that around. We'll add it to the links in the description here as well. And again, so we have Lisa here from Texas. She's got a YouTube channel. They talk about Morgellon. She interviews people, and this goes deeper. And we're just about out of time. I hate to let you go, Lisa, but like I said, we do in the third hour. You're welcome to call back if you've got more to add. That's exactly why we do the third hour. So I appreciate the phone call. Please, one more time, what's your YouTube channel? What's it called?
Waking God's Child. And again, I'm speaking for it. We have to have a voice. So it's Waking God's Child. Waking God's Child. Okay. I will see if I can get that. Please link it to me, and we'll put it up in the chat, and I'll promote it with this show as well. Okay. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thanks for listening, and look forward to hearing from you in the future. Okay. Thanks so much. Have a blessed one.
Thanks, Lisa. You too. There you go. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. Got about a quick 40 seconds, Daryl, if you want to add anything to what Lisa said there.
Oh, I'm so thrilled that she called. I listened to her channel. I don't know if you remember me, Lisa. I'm so happy you called and shared what you did with us. There's something very supernatural and spiritual tonight about this whole Morgellon situation. And I find it remarkable. There was a woman that was on Clarence Mitchell has a show called Closer Encounters. He had a woman on, can't remember her name. She had Morgellons. And she thought it was a great thing. She found it was a very spiritual, enlightening thing. And she would take hexagonal material out of her body that looked exactly like the graphene. I don't know what that was. Oops. What is that?
That's the music.
Sorry about that.
That's you're
All
cool.
right,
You're
so
cool.
time to go, I guess.
You're good.
Anyway,
you're good. Yeah, we got to take a break. All right. So this is the thing, right? We're here with a good friend Daryl in New York. We're talking Morgellon's disease tonight. Some doctors have called this a psychosis. Others have said no way, no how. There may be a spiritual or paranormal element to this. What do you think? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Daryl in New York talking Morgellons. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds, Morgellons disease, and your calls when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with my good friend Daryl in New York, and we'd like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night, which is one of the nights we get together, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what do? Well, we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And tonight, that thing is Morgellon's disease. Whatever that means, right? We've had a few fantastic calls here so far discussing how this really isn't some sort of disease at all. Some doctors may want to call it a psychotic thing, some sort of psychosis. Others, we don't know how to quantify it. So where did this come from? All kinds of crazy symptoms, from itching to maybe visions, all kinds of things, right? Like there's a laundry list of it's an incredible thing that's again, as me myself being ignorant of this for a very long time, I had no idea what it was until I met Daryl here, and it's a horrifying thing. And so we're taking your phone calls tonight as we get going on this. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Daryl, you're hissing. What's going on over there?
Oh, is that me hissing?
I think
Sorry,
so. Yep. Thank you very much. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. It is easy as that. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Daryl, are you there? Test 1, 2.
I think so. I don't want to hiss now. I don't want to hiss now.
No, you're good. You're good now. All right. So okay. So anything to add there? Let's reframe this real quick for top of the hour here. Morgellons is a mysterious, controversial, and poorly understood condition. I think that's probably a better way to put it. It's a condition. Okay. I think if you call it a disease, like Lisa said, it seems very. Very, very cut and dry, and it's not that at all. But anything to add to this? Again, we got feeling like bugs are crawling over the skin, burning, stinging sensations, intense itching, etc. So on.
The stickiness in your skin. This is something that is really annoying. Your skin feels sticky. It has like this yellow film over it. They call it, actually there's something with mold and mildew that's very similar to Morgellons as well. It's like people have died from mold, you know. There was an actress that her and her husband died shortly within a short time of each other. She was a very famous actress, a young one, and their house was full of mold. And mold has this biofilm. They call it a biofilm. And I had it all over my skin and all over my hair. I never had a good hair day. And I had great hair. My hair was awesome. And I'll tell you, I never had a good hair day for 12 years. I had this sticky, shitty hair. Like, it was just, it was hard to get out of your hair. I'd have to leave my house, to be honest with you. If I wanted to have a good hair day, I'd have to wash my hair, dry it, and run away because they get right back in my hair and make my hair all sticky and nasty. And you can see this stuff in some of the videos that I have in the hair. It's kind of maddening to feel this stuff crawling through your hair. That was the first sensation I ever discovered when I first started having symptoms, was this crawling through my hair. I even had something between my thumb and my forefinger that had its own heartbeat. You could see it pulsing through my thumb. It was like a lump. It looked like a little animal. And I know it, and everything about this is going to sound absolutely insane, but if you experience it, you know what I'm talking about. You know, it has a life of its own. You have no control over this stuff. It's just maddening. It's totally maddening. And they would get into your food sources. I mean, I've had them like punch holes like a roadrunner, like beep beep. You know, it would look like a little like I would call it a dolphin. And if you had Morgellons, you know what I'm talking about. I had to go through my Swiss cheese. I just barely opened the Swiss cheese, and it got right through every slice. You know, like you can't even get them out of your food. As soon as you bring something home, you know, it would get infected. And you just see it in your shampoo. You'd see it in the products that you use to clean them with. You would try to clean your house because it's in your environment. It's not just on your body. So, you know, it was like ABC, always be cleaning. You're always cleaning your apartment. You're always scrubbing. You're always washing something, you know. And you never wore the same clothes once. You always would change your clothes. You couldn't use a towel once. They like humidity. You get dehumidifiers. You would buy everything that you would try to control your environment as best as you can. So it's true, you'd bankrupt yourself, like Marcia said. You know, you just spend every nickel trying to feel comfortable, just trying to have relief, you know. And there's something about 3 o'clock in the morning. I wonder if anybody here has experienced this 3 a.m. like witching hour of when they come out and attack, you know. I mean, I've had times I've went to emergency rooms because I felt like, you know, as soon as you try to like get rid of them, let's say you wash your left arm, your right arm gets a bite. You know, you'll get like stung in your right arm. Or you wash your left leg and suddenly you have scratches on your right leg. And I had a lot of this experience. They even put holes in your clothing. I had them punch holes through my scarves and have perfect holes. Now, I can't make this up. I mean, I could show you the damage. Like, they put the holes in your underwear. You know, you can't do this to yourself. This is stuff you wouldn't do to yourself. And, of course, there's places where you can't even reach, where you have the worst problems. You know, you can't reach this stuff. You can't reach the middle of your back. You know, I've had, like, you know, marks on the back of my back. And you wonder if it's some sort of poltergeist that's haunting you. You just don't know, you know. You feel like you're being possessed by something.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it is a pretty wild. This is a good way to frame it as well. In this Morgellons.org. Okay, it's called the Morgellons Research Foundation. I don't know if they're any good because I haven't dealt with them at all. But I do find here's what they say: Morgellons is an unexplained and debilitating condition that has emerged as a public health concern. Recently, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has received an increased number of inquiries from the public, healthcare providers, and public health officials, Congress, and the media regarding this condition. The current number of registered families here, 14,720. So again, like I said, I don't know exactly what this is. I don't think anybody knows exactly what this is yet, but I think that as a growing number of people are actually affected by this, it's hopefully going to become the forefront of some sort of research. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I hope. We got some phone calls to get to, Daryl. So we're talking about Morgellons tonight. 702-957 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're here with Daryl in New York. And again, Morgellons is a unexplained and debilitating condition. It's wild stuff so far. Thank you for all the people who've shared your experience with this. And with that said, let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike and Daryl. Go right ahead, my friend.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for calling.
Yes, guys, this is a great show tonight, Daryl. I'm glad you're covering this. I was calling in because I've recently had, I can relate to, I've heard about Morgellons for a long time now. I remember hearing about it years and years ago, like probably in 2013 is when I first heard about it. But, and I always thought it was just horrible what these people were going through and how frustrating it was that the health field wasn't really giving them the answers that they needed and not even really taking it seriously enough for the symptoms people were feeling and how severe they were. And that they were kind of categorizing it as a psychological thing or, to that effect. And I was going to say that I can relate because I actually recently had a health scenario happen that it was really bizarre. I began having these strange symptoms that kind of just came out of nowhere. It was almost as if, like if somebody kind of should startle you suddenly, and it kind of makes your heart like leap up. And except it'd come out of the blue while I was doing casual things, and it started happening, and it just it happened out of nowhere. And it was so severe, I thought I was having like a heart attack. And there were other symptoms with it that I was concerned that maybe I was having a stroke, to the point that I actually had to, I didn't want to call an ambulance, even though I kind of did. But instead I called a taxi to go to the nearest city where my family was. And I went to the ER, and they did blood work. They did EKG. They did like everything. They did an MRI. They did x-rays of my chest. They put a heart monitor on me and everything. And just to tell me, and I was hoping they were going to have some kind of answer because it didn't stop. It went on, and it's still going on. Not as severe, but because I've found some ways around it, I think. But it's very strange. Anyway, and so that's kind of what was going on with me. But then the doctors, they said that everything looked perfectly normal. But it was like in my mind, it was impossible because it was debilitating. Like I was so dizzy, I'd get so dizzy that I felt like I couldn't walk or move. Like I was floored, and it would come on sometimes for like hours and hours out of a day. And when they sent me home, basically with nothing after I even went to a cardiologist, and right now I'm actually set to go to like a sleep study, But and they find nothing. And so basically I got some, herbal supplements and homeopathic things like that all fit the symptoms that I'm having to try to fix it. None of it really helps that much, but I'm hoping long term it does. But one thing, and I was going to say that, and I don't know this is everybody's thing, but I was so desperate really that I began praying, and I mean like for hours at a time, to like the Virgin Mary and to some saints, and just like, and honestly taking slow walks and trying to be, steady with it. And it did it seemed like that actually has helped. Wow. And so I don't know what it is or what it could be, but I mean, I began treating it just like as if it was like a psychic attack of some sort. But what I'm saying is I can relate to the fact that people are experiencing something that when they go to the doctors and they tell them that everything's normal, check off the box, even the MRI, like scanning my brain and everything, and everything's normal, it's extremely disheartening because you're like, it can't be, because like right now I'm having, like the only thing that they've, it is very frustrating. And I'm glad you're bringing light to this, because with something like with your scenario with the Morgellons, it's very extreme, just as, and it's frightening the way that people, like even my own family, honestly, like my mother was kind of like, maybe, it's psychological in some ways. Like, no, it's like I can, why, it's some kind of physical symptom. I feel a fluttering in my heart, and like, it's a feeling, not like, I don't know how to explain it, but So, yeah, I'm, I'm glad you're bringing light to this subject. And I think that people do need to kind of, I mean, there are things that are psychological, but in this scenario, we have so many people complaining about a situation. I think it's very important that people acknowledge it. It's impossible that so many people would have these kinds of symptoms across such a broad, variety of population to have the same symptoms and have the same complaints and then not be taken seriously. It's extremely frustrating. I'm glad you're bringing light to it. It's a great show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Jennifer, I'm so sorry you went through that. And, you know your body better than anybody. You know there's something wrong. It's not in your mind. I know you definitely experienced something, and I'm sure it was causality for some reason. We don't know what they're putting out there. We don't know what's in the air anymore. I mean, there's all sorts of like these airborne things that are, airborne diseases they're trying to cultivate. I mean, I've just listened to a few tonight, just researching this tonight, and I was shocked to hear what I was hearing with the 5G and this and that. I mean, there's all kinds of like little plots going on. I don't know what's going to affect us. We don't know what a lot of things are. The Havana syndrome, the Morgellon syndrome, even the SARS-CoV illness. We don't know. We can't even put our finger on it. Is it airborne? Was it created? How many things have they been created that have gotten loose? That they don't even know. We don't know what's going on here. I used to get electrical shocks, and I wasn't touching anything. That was what was so disheartening. Like, how come I'm not touching anything? I'm getting shocked. Like, who's shocking me? I had it like almost like I was getting electrocuted in my thumb, and I wasn't touching anything. I was in Penn Station, and that was so scary. I'm like, is somebody controlling this? Is somebody pressing a button? Is there some kind of communication system in my body that's like picking up signals? I don't know. We don't know what we're eating. There's a lot of aluminum in our food. Even our food sources are being contaminated, all the GMO foods. I mean, you can't trust anything you're doing anymore. Our nutritional health is dwindling. I mean, America has so many supplements and false, additives in our foods. Like, we have over 1,000 approved additives by the FDA that we don't even really know how poisonous they are, And like a lot of them are being proven true. The food that we eat is just not healthy. Olive oil is good, but there's a lot of processed oils and processed foods that are so dangerous that are causing everybody health issues. So it's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What's the agenda here? Right. Is somebody trying to kill us? It feels like
Whoa! Let's back off that.
No.
Don't get me taken down.
Just saying.
Okay, Jennifer. While we got you on, go ahead. Comment on that.
Oh, just that it is frustrating, and the only thing that I found, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I'm taking like some herbal supplements, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, we'll try these, But for me, and this may, like I said, it may not work for everybody, but turning to to a more spiritual aspect with it, it did seem to. I don't know if it's just because I don't know, the power of the mind and the power of the strength of that did seem to help supremely over everything. So, but I just diligently doing it, praying basically. And that does seem to help with my situation, but it's still, it seems like it's all the time still though, but it's not as bad, I think. But anyway, I hope that everybody finds some kind of solace against their afflictions. But I'm gonna get off here so people can call in that actually are experiencing Morgellons. I don't know what I was experiencing, but off and on still experiencing it. But it's just some kind of, I don't even know what it was. It's frustrating though, that when you go get checked out, you're like, they're surely going to find, like it's pre-diabetic or like,
something,
stroke or something.
Yeah.
And nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very frustrating, but
big time.
Okay. I'll let you guys go.
Thank you for sharing.
Good night.
Thanks for sharing. Have a great night. Prayers for you, my friend. Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Scroll down. Links in the description. Thanks again, Jennifer. Have a fantastic evening. This is the thing, right? And that's what I was kind of saying as we began tonight. It was, imagine being ill, actually ill, physically ill, and people don't believe you. Like that right there, in and of itself, it's like a prison, right? It's like a prison of your own body, and you just can't shake it. I mean, terrifying, Daryl. So I'm not sure. Again, so Jen's. I think Jennifer here is not saying she had in particular Morgellons, but sort of laying the parallel to that idea that if you have something like this, and people just go, no, nothing's wrong with you. Go get him, Tiger. Right?
I'm telling you, I know how she feels because I've been overwhelmed by the feeling of like, I feel like I'm going to have a stroke or a heart attack because I felt like, they were just attacking me and they were going through my ears, my nose, my mouth, and suddenly my head was full of Morgellons and I had to run out of my house, and I always ran out of my house no matter what. And I'm in the middle of Manhattan at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've had to go into a dangerous neighborhood just to get out of my apartment because I felt that if I didn't, I would die. And like twice I went to the emergency room, and they all didn't do a damn thing for me. But I felt like I was just being overwhelmed by an insurgence of Morgellons. That's what it felt like to me, and my head was just going to blow up. And it feels like you're going to have a heart attack. And of course, they're never going to look for anything because they don't even know that there's no test for this. There's not like a test to isolate what is going on with you. And of course, they're going to think you're crazy because you can't even describe this because you're stressed out. And women generally, I'll tell you, I was in the ER and a man had the same symptoms as I did. I'm like, oh my God, he's going through what I'm going through. Well, they took him in and ran him through tests, and they just told me I should see a psychiatrist. That's the way they treat women and men differently with the same symptoms. But I would see in the emergency room, I felt like I could see the people that were there were like, I could see them going to like the unhealthiest person that was sitting down. And I would see the people getting better as they're waiting for the emergency room. I mean, this is stuff I was seeing. Like, that's what I'm saying. We have some sort of paranormal sensitivity to something. You kind of see things going on. And I could tell you, people were getting better in the emergency room as I saw somebody getting sicker. And I could see them all over the sick person, including myself. They were leaving me to go to the sickest person in the room. I'm just saying, this is how insane this stuff is. It's absolutely nuts. No wonder we're all considered crazy because the symptoms are so crazy and what you observe is so bizarre.
Yeah, so oddly enough, again, some of the symptoms here are actual like visions, right? We're talking about like nervous system issues. We're talking about like seeing things, and so what Lisa was saying is she would see things in the sky, right? Just seeing things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so you said you've had some experiences with that as well, right? We got maybe a couple minutes left if you want to tell one of those stories real quick. So if you're just joining us tonight, we're here with my good friend Daryl from New York, and we're talking about Morgellons. Morgellons disease, of course, is sort of it's an affliction. It's a condition. It's not a disease. That's a bad way to term it, but it's basically an unknown at this point. Nobody knows what causes it. They don't know if there's any sort of cure for this. It's still, and again, even some people claim it's not even a real thing. It's a figment of our imagination, which I think at this point we got enough people that actually have this. I think we can rule that out. But you want to tell a quick story about maybe some of the visions that you saw when this kind of was going on with you?
Well, the funny thing is, like, I never was interested in anything paranormal. I was very, brought up pretty much atheist, nothing spiritual at all. And suddenly I started seeing a lot of stuff that was like UFOs. I started seeing, just experiencing paranormal things. I've seen some things right outside my window with my naked eye that I can't describe, and I was stone cold sober, so I can't even tell you I was high or something when I saw them. And I have them on videotape, so I think I can prove a lot of this. I want to also mention one more thing. They did infect a mouse. They put this stuff in a petri dish. They were able to grow it and infect a mouse. So that's the kind of science that you do when you have some sort of an infection or a virus or whatever. You have to see if you can recreate it in a lab and infect a mouse. And they have achieved that and then some. So I want to just mention that, while we're on this subject. So just, when I was first coming down with this and I started witnessing this, I really felt like it was in the environment. I was in an environmental situation that got, some of us infected. I think everybody kind of has this on them. I don't think it's avoidable. I don't think it's contagious necessarily, that you just have it and you don't have any symptoms. I've seen it on other people. I've seen it on television. What is that?
It's
Sorry
that
about
time. When you start to get echo, it means it's that time. Sorry.
Oh, it's that time to go. Okay.
Sorry
anyway,
about that.
but you do see it in everything and everyone, and it's recognizable because it's embedded in you.
Okay, hold that thought. We're here with Daryl in New York. We're talking about Morgellons. It is a condition, a mysterious thing that is afflicting many, many, many people out there. And again, I don't like calling these things a psychosis because it's not right to me. If you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts on Morgellons. What do you think? 702-957-1037. Have you had this? Is this a situation where you've had this or somebody in your family? Love to hear your thoughts on, and not just this, but what do you think it actually is? One more time, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Daryl in New York. Don't go anywhere. Happy Valentine's Day. More Troubled Minds, Morgellons, and science when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with my good friend Daryl in New York. And we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about Morgellons. Now, what exactly is this? Some have called it a psychosis. Some have called it a disease. I call it neither. I think it's a condition. I think there's something to this. A theory I just kind of was kicking around. Some people have brought up 5G in regard to this, maybe some related thing. But Lisa said, and also Em from Canada said, this is something that's kind of new. It's a new onset of Morgellons, meaning that it's kind of becoming a thing in the last 20 years. And it makes me wonder if some of these Wi-Fi signals are maybe causing this. What do you think, Daryl, with that theory? The electromagnetic sort of theory. Welcome back to Troubled Minds, by the way. Test 1, 2. Are you there, Daryl?
Yes, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about experimentation with electromagnetic fields. I was concerned about the 5G. I heard something today that they were going to launch like 100 satellites that might change the orbit of the planet. I mean, there are consequences to all this experimentation that we don't know what the repercussions are. I think we're playing some strange games with our health and our, with chemistry and physics that we shouldn't be, for the sake of having something download fast. Is it going to be worth it? What are the repercussions of our health? Already I think there's some health implications to electromagnetic frequencies that they're showing. I mean, they're talking about making the internet of the water. I don't know if you've heard that one. I just heard that recently, that they want to do some underground frequency stuff that might ruin our ocean life. I mean, this is just stuff that's going on. I think we're just playing way too much games with technology and our health, Yeah. And I think this might have been a mistake that was made, based on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think part of the problem, too, is we talked about this a long time ago on this show, is that a lot of these, things like Wi-Fi and things like these, cell phone towers, again, 3G, 4G, 5G, and it's going to continue. Like, there's no real way to know what the long-term effects are until you've been living with this constantly bombarding your body for the long-term time frame. And that's the problem here, is that you say, oh yeah, like that everything's fine, no, it's not, because I used to a lot of us worked retail, maybe still do, we use scanners, right? Those scanner guns. I used to be checking in like I worked in a music store, so I was going beep beep beep, checking in CDs and scanning barcodes and stuff. And there was this weirdness to this gun that I was using, and it's a laser, right? It's like a laser hits the barcode, goes beep, it scans the code. But like, you're not supposed to put it on your skin or put it in your eyes because it could damage you, sort of thing. And I never did, literally never. I took that seriously. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, why would you do that? That's stupid. But still, I felt like little burns on me sometimes from doing this for hours and hours and hours at a time. When I never put it on me, it's like I don't know, I could never explain it. It wasn't like a static discharge. It wasn't anything like that. It felt like I was afflicted by this somehow. It was so strange, and it was only this one piece of equipment in this one particular store that I worked at for several years, by the way. So it wasn't like a one and done sort of thing, but it did seem that the electronics I was using were affecting my biology somehow, and how that is, I don't know. I can't quantify it. Glad I got out of there. I haven't had a situation like that since, but I had the feeling that it was linked somehow. That there was maybe some sort of I don't know, like an electromagnetic field happening, or I don't know. Maybe I'm a knucklehead and that's not possible. But it just seems like when something like that happens, it doesn't seem like it's a coincidence at times, So we're looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Let's go back to M from Canada. We got there we go. Let's go right back to M. Thank you for being patient with us. Go right ahead. M from Canada. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Daryl.
It's a bad way to term it. But,
Hello. Are you there?
She's coming. Marcia, are you there? Marcia? Marcia's so knowledgeable. I hope she's there. She's saying it's a bioterror. She's in the chat room. I think what you were saying about your scanner, I wouldn't doubt that there is something about that. I don't think we know how much damage that can do to your body, until it's like too late, maybe. And then there won't be an explanation. Marcia, are you there? Is she on the phone?
Yeah, should be on the phone. You can hear us, right? Go right ahead.
Yes, I am. Sorry. People can't see shapes. These are not. They're not made up. People see them in the ceiling of their home when they're lying in bed. There's a man that filmed all these various shapes that he sees in the trees. Other people have filmed the clouds, and I think that this is almost like an extra ability that you get. And also, another unusual one is the sneezing. It's almost like you're programmed to sneeze when you do a certain activity or you think a certain thought. So these are some of the strange things that are actually really happening to people.
Okay, and so what do you think about the theory that it may be related to some of this, maybe the Wi-Fi technology, things like this? Do you think that's a possibility here?
I do think that it's a possibility that we have been affected or certain frequencies will make the symptoms worse. And as we know, all of these new technologies are going through the air. Now, this illness started many decades ago, in my opinion, and we didn't have 5G technology back then. We didn't even have Wi-Fi. So, I have a tendency to believe that could aggravate the symptoms, but not actually cause anything.
Okay, gotcha. So maybe in conjunction, but not the actual cause of this. That's pretty wild. So there are, I don't know. You're seeing faces in the ceiling, in the skies, and the clouds, things like this. What are some of the other symptoms of Morgellons that people don't really know about typically? What should people know about this?
Well, the most unusual thing about it is when you begin to examine these fibers that are coming from your skin and from the lesions, they're actually growing out of there. These fibers are very unusual. First of all, what do they eat? What do they use for energy? They don't seem to need anything to eat. They live on a slide, if you put them on a microscopic slide, for weeks and weeks and weeks. They don't actually die. All you have to do is put it, turn on the light and they start moving again. So it's sitting on the slide. It's not got any food to eat. What does it live on? Okay, so you've got something here that has obviously energy. So where is it getting its energy? And I wasn't going to say that it's stealing the energy from the patient. So somehow it's like a parasite in that it's stealing your energy. And so that these fibers I've examined them. They self-assemble. They can be several feet long, and they get thicker in diameter. There's at least 10 different types of fibers that are coming from the patients. I've examined this, studied this for a long, long time. And these fibers move with intent, some of them. And you'll see I've filmed one fiber trying to poke into another, fiber reaching a great distance, I would say at least 10 inches, to reach out and try to grab a hat of mine. And so there's so many unusual things with these fibers. You know, I wrote actually Garth Nicholson, nominated for Nobel Peace Prize, and he said he'd seen nothing like it in nature, and he worked on the Gulf War syndrome. And so I wrote to many, many people way back, probably about 15 years ago. I wrote the Prime Minister of Canada, I wrote the head of health in British Columbia, etc., and did not receive one single response. So I knew without a doubt that Canada cares absolutely nothing about bioterrorism. In addition, I found out that in Canada, they rely upon the Center for Disease Control in the United States, even though they've got nothing to do with our country. And they actually admitted that to me. I couldn't believe it. So these are some of the things that you go through.
Yeah, nobody seems to be helping. Do you know anything about this particular, the Morgellons.org, the Morgellons Research Foundation? Is this useful at all for people? Have you seen this?
Some of these organizations, some of us patients are against them, and there's so much conflict in the community. And so there's people that have a leaning towards one idea of a cause, and then they'll gravitate towards that website or that. Now, the majority of good information is on these support groups, okay, that are out there and available. And one of the first ones I went to was called Lyme Busters, and I think I'm still a member of that, and because they have an entire section on Morgellons disease, and it's because Morgellons disease symptoms actually mimic Lyme disease, but in addition, you have the lesions and the fibers.
Okay, so it is related then to Lyme disease somehow. I saw that in some cases that some connections have been made to Lyme disease as a precursor to this. How true is that from what you know?
It's very possible. I don't really know. The problem with Lyme disease is that the tests are not very accurate. Now, some Morgellons patients got a positive result and some got a negative result. My result was negative, okay? And so I don't think you can rely upon the test, and I think that the patients, even some of the doctors, are diagnosing patients with Lyme disease despite the test, okay, based upon their symptoms.
Okay, I see. So it's complicated as usual, right? There's no easy answers here, which seems about right. You're in the right place. Anything for her, Daryl?
I wanted to say I went to a Lyme doctor and showed him a video because I felt like that would be the best thing I could show him rather than describing what I had. And he saw the video and he said, "Oh my God, what the hell is that?" Because all I could tell you is it's not Lyme. It's definitely not Lyme disease. I forgot what else I wanted to mention about what she was saying. I'll be right back about that. I had something to mention. I forgot what I was going to say, but the tests for Lyme are not that accurate, and I also tested negative for Lyme disease. Even though there are similarities between even syphilis, Morgellons, Lyme disease. They all have something called a spirochete or spirochete. I would say it in French. I think it's pronounced spirochete or spirochete. And they're all very similar. Babiosa is another fungus that's also found in Morgellon's patients. So this is a real parasite. It's not a fake parasite. It's not a delusion. It's, they all will probably test positive for Babiosa. Babiosa, and also another one with a C. There's also a theory that there's something that melted in ice in Antarctica, an old bacteria that came back to life that might be affecting us. Some of these things from global warming that we haven't been exposed to in a gazillion years. And thanks to global warming, a lot of things that were in the ice that melted might be coming alive. And, something about bacteria, fungus, mold, they can survive anything. I think they could survive outer space. Somebody had sneezed in outer space and came back and it was still positive, even though going through space on the outside of the craft. So these things could survive under the most critical conditions. They will not die. It's very hard to kill them. It's very hard to kill mold. Try to get rid of mold. You can't eradicate mold. You can like tame it, but you can't get rid of it. Just saying,
Yeah, it is strange to me, the idea that they what do they feed on these whatever you call them, what are they, threads, or what's the term?
Well, I don't know if they feed
fibers,
they might feed on fear. We all felt at one point that there was a thing. Oh, Morgellons disease, the Morgellons Foundation, the Morgellons Research Foundation. One of the first sites I hit on when I first got this, and they were around for a little bit, and then they disappeared. They just shut down, and now they're reawakening. I didn't even know they were still on the map. So thank you for sharing that, Mike.
Yeah, you got it. Like I said, I don't know if they're any good, but it does have some interesting things here, and it does actually mention chemtrails, if you can believe that. I wouldn't expect that. So we got a few minutes left, Marcia. If you want to finish this up, what else you got for us tonight? What else do you think people should know?
I think that there could be a cyanobacteria element to this infection. And cyanobacteria is one of the oldest life forms on Earth. And also they discovered cyanobacteria, I believe, on planet Mars. And it is an actual life form, but it's extremely hard to kill because of the fact that it's been alive for so long. And so I first discovered these silent superbug videos. This infection includes something which is called quorum sensing. So that is how things assemble. They sense each other and then they join together. So they've definitely used mad science, is my opinion, in creating this. And that is why we're not getting any help and we're getting dismissed, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I said, it wouldn't be the first time, would it? That's definitely unfortunate. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and sharing. I think this is, again, something we need to talk about more, because where would you go? Like you did give one idea of some support groups, things like this. Is there a place where people can find these sorts of things to find people that are also suffering from this? Do either of you know?
Yes,
definitely.
There are Facebook, numerous Facebook groups, Lyme Busters, just like I said, and also there are other support groups. Years ago, 2005, around that, the support group was called Biology Online, and that's where I discovered the person that was trying to help us, a person from the Netherlands, who discovered this silent superbug, which is a man-made microorganism which uses proteomic and genomic technology.
Okay, I barely know what half of that stuff means, so I've got some reading to do. Proteomic
has to do with proteins, and genomic has to do with genetics or genes.
I see. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Like I said, this is good for us to talk about this. This won't be the last time we do this. We need to get together and talk about this from time to time because it is a situation where people are suffering, like you said. And I'm glad you brought it up in the very first time we talked to you tonight. Is that the situation is if people don't believe you, it can make you like nowhere to turn. People get depressed. There are suicides because of this, and so the whole point is, hey, there's places out there for you guys if you're suffering from this. There are places you can go to support groups, and again, I'm not sure if they're great or whatever. Feedback on this would be awesome. The Morgellons Research Foundation. There are places, so don't give up hope if you're suffering from this type of stuff. And thank you so much for the call tonight, Marcia. Again, as Daryl's been talking to you up about how great and knowledgeable you are, and you delivered 100%. So thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you very much for the phone call. You're amazing. Thanks
so much for doing this for the community.
You got it. Pleasure's mine.
Thank you.
Pleasure's mine. We're going to keep on doing it, though, okay? We'll this isn't the last time. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic evening. There you go. See, Daryl bringing great people here. So comments on any of the stuff she said there, Daryl?
Oh, she knows so much. She's done her homework, and she was a big help to most of the people in the community about, when I first got it. And then she took down her channel I don't know how long ago. Unfortunately, she had some serious, great videos, had great information. But, there was some reasons, and they're personal, and, she had her reasons for it. I understand totally. We don't want to be identified as, Morgellon sufferers. We're people, we're human beings with a life, and we've got personalities, and we've got blood that bleeds red, and we don't want to be known for. We are not Morgellons, but it's just something that we're suffering, that we have suffered through. And I know what she's going through. It's just awful. Just the physical problems that you have and the emotional problems are just unbelievable. But there is help and there is hope. And there's lots of support out there. There's tons of stuff on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Morgellon Support. I started with 30 people. I was just talking to Steve Bedingfield the other night. Remember when we started, we had 30 people? I don't even know. There are thousands now. It's just unbelievable how much it grew. There's so many people suffering from this. And it's, I got to mention one thing. Hillary Clinton, of all people, wanted the CDC to do some, funding for it. She wanted it researched, I have to say something good about her. I mean, she was really pro Morgellons research, but she couldn't get anything done, obviously. Nothing got done. But there is the Charles E. Holman Foundation. It's they use the University of, Oklahoma. Somewhere in Oklahoma, I think. And it's privately funded, and they do their own private research, thanks to Charles E. Holman, whose wife was afflicted by Morgellons, and he left all his money to the research foundation. So God bless him,
Yeah, and by the way,
look into that.
By the way, we don't have to say nice things about Hillary Clinton, just for the record.
Oh, okay.
It was nice that maybe she did try and get something done, though. Okay, so we got a couple minutes left. So we're talking about Morgellons tonight, and again, it's known as Morgellons disease. I think that's again the wrong way to frame this. It seems to be a condition. It seems to be a thing that, who knows? Maybe it's environmental. Maybe it's exacerbated by some of these electromagnetic frequencies, 4G, 5G. Wi-Fi type of stuff. Who knows? And that's what we're talking about here. I don't think anybody exactly knows quite yet. And that's why this is an important thing to kind of get out there. And special thanks to Daryl. I would have never heard of this, to be perfectly honest, if it wasn't for Daryl. She's been talking about this for quite a while to me. Like I said, not just in her phone calls to the show, but also sort of offline, kind of let me know what her experience was with it and some other things. So huge shout out to Daryl in New York. She has a YouTube channel. Please give her some love and follow. The link is in the description. Just scroll down. You'll see it right there. Thanks for peeling out your time for us tonight and being with us. Daryl, we're going to do a third hour, but we're winding it on the radio, so we got to kind of do that soft ending, and then we'll kick it up again. So you got 1 minute. You want to tell people whatever you want to tell them, and then we'll finish this up.
Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a great evening. I hope you learned something. I hope we all shared something that would help you. I want to say that I have been in remission. I've tried everything. I'll mention if you would like to know what had helped me, just send me a private message and I'll give you the information. There's some help out there. I don't say it's going to work for everybody. Something worked for me, and I no longer have symptoms. I can't believe it. I haven't had Morgellons in my life in the last year. So, knock wood, I don't know. You can get over your symptoms. It happened to me. So it's not hopeless. Please don't lose hope. There is help, and there's hope, and just keep trying.
Keep trying. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Daryl. Thanks for being with us tonight. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to Troubled Minds on any other platform, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. That's including the podcast feed, all the streams, everywhere else. As we finish, special thanks again to Daryl. Give her a follow on YouTube. Scroll down. Her link's in the description. She sings in English and French and has some information on Morgellons as well. And as we finish, you want to do it, Daryl? How's it go?
Be strong, be true, be sure.
That's how it goes.
I screwed that up.
That's how it goes. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.
Thank you so much for calling in and coming.
All right, you guys know the drill. What we're going to do is take a quick 2-minute break, and we're still taking your phone calls. What do you know about this Morgellons disease? It's not a disease. What do you know about Morgellons? What do you know about the condition? What do you know about? I got some other stuff here from some medical publications. We can read some of this stuff, but I don't know. I think the consensus is nobody really knows what this is, and I think that's the most terrifying part. Was this created in some sort of laboratory setting? Is this maybe some sort of who knows, pathogen from space? These are the types of things that we have to consider when we literally have no idea. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Pretty wild stuff. Again, we're here with Daryl in New York, having a good time talking about amazing things as usual. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Third hour Trouble Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. Be right back with Daryl in New York and your phone calls. 702-957-1037. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're here with my good friend Daryl in New York, and we're talking Morgellons. Now, what do you know about this? We're still taking your phone calls. Is this clearly this is a terrifying situation in that you something's happening to you. It's physically happening to you. You're describing the symptoms to doctors, to your friends, to your family, and everybody's looking at you like you're insane, right? That right there in and of itself is horrifying. It's almost like a what would you call it? Like a psychological experiment on somebody, right? Sort of MK Ultra type stuff, which seems wild, but I'm not so sure, right? I mean, MK Ultra was a thing for a reason. And so what better way to make people just seem insane is to kind of sprinkle them with whatever this is. And yeah, pretty wild. What's up, Daryl? Daryl in New York, welcome back.
That's so true, Michael. We felt like we were some sort of an experiment, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to mention there was a show called The Unexplained Files. I don't know if anybody got to watch it. They had one episode that happened to have a Morgellons segment on it, as well as this other segment of this red blood rain from Sri Lanka. And a meteorite apparently had hit Sri Lanka. And a few days later, when it started to rain, it was raining red blood. And they looked at what was in the meteorite and put it under a microscope, and they found this, some kind of molecule that was living, but it had no DNA. Interesting. It was self-replicating, and it had no DNA. They couldn't look up its DNA. It didn't have any. Yet it was a microorganism from a different planet. Obviously, it was on a meteorite. And they looked at the blood rain, and they found that it was identical to the meteorite's, molecule. and they had was worried that maybe they could we could get bacteria from another solar system or galaxy or something from outer space, and we wouldn't be immune to it, and maybe the CDC should take a little interest that we could maybe be infected with something we have no immune system to. And the CDC just hung up on them. Like, why do we care about that? It's not in our country. And they didn't care, So I'm just saying, these are things that, it feels like it's from outer space. In fact, I wanted to mention Joni Mitchell. She had described it like a disease from outer space. And she said that her skin is something like mushrooms after the rain. She had this very poetic description of Morgellons. She's a famous person that has come down with Morgellons. Coincidentally, I forgot to mention the celebrities that are, official Morgellon sufferers. One is Joni Mitchell, and the other one was a baseball player, Billy something. I forget his last name. He was a Major League Baseball player. His whole family came down with Morgellons, and he had to stop playing baseball because of it. It debilitated him and his family. He couldn't pitch anymore, and he was a very good pitcher, apparently.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm reading, too, that it's pretty strange on some of these sites, is that they say that it is mostly afflicts women. Have you heard this before?
Oh, yeah, I was mentioning that. Not just women, but postmenopausal women. It doesn't affect the younger ones. It affects the older ones, like a little over 50, still hot, of course, and but not childbearing. Maybe not as useful to the younger dudes as they were when they were younger. And the majority are that demographic. But it doesn't affect anybody. It affects pets, like Marcia said. It's not very discriminating. But I think it's based on your pH. They mentioned something about your pH. Marcia mentioned the blood type, Rh negative. I'm not Rh negative that I know of. It depends on your pH balance. You have to keep a good pH. You have to have a good immune system. If not, a slight imbalance. I think that's what happens when women go into menopause. Their hormones change, and suddenly they become this great breeding ground for Morgellons. They just they think we're hot as hell. They think we're like 20 years old. They think we're hot stuff. And sexy. So yeah, they love to dwell in women above 50. So that's one of their happy homes. We make a very good environment for them, apparently, to stay.
Yeah, interesting. The affliction from outer space, or the disease from outer space. You know what? And I think that's the thing too. When I was reading some of this stuff, I was thinking in terms of, that black goo, right, from the X-Files, right, which is exactly what that would be. It would be some sort of pathogen from outer space, right? Except in this case, it was like actual alien life. And
right.
It would get inside of people, and it would actually turn them into sort of like that Manchurian Candidate style sort of a person, but they'd be an alien instead, the Manchurian alien, I guess.
Well, if you listen to Harold Vellikatz, you definitely should tune into him. He talks all about black goo. And he even made a tincture for Morgellon sufferers out of the black goo. He makes some sort of essential oil that treats Morgellons. It's quite expensive. But he was saying something about the Falkland War and the black goo, and it was all over the black goo that's found somewhere in this, in the Atlantic or in the Caribbean Ocean or near Panama, where George Bush has a house. And that was what the war was fought over. They found all these rocks that had black goo in it, and he says they're the consciousness of either Mother Earth or from outer space. And there's like good black goo and bad black goo, and it's the way in the past, magicians used to use to talk to archons. That's the history of it, according to Harold. I hope I'm not, plagiarizing him too much or bastardizing what I remembered, but it's something along those lines that this black goo. He has a video of the black goo in 2 jars, and they literally look like 2 sleeping Jello babies. I can't describe them any better. They look like Jello. They're like the consistency of a gelatinated substance that is black, and they look like they're sleeping until they come into the room together, and they literally like wake up and want to join together to become one big black goo. You know, they have a magnetic force that attracts each other. It's kind of out of this world crazy unless you witness it. And he has it on a video. You can see these things. They're just, you can't even imagine what they're made of. This black goo has like, it's intelligent, you know, and it's strong too. You know, they have they have a lot of strength in them to join together. You know, he had to, work hard to keep it apart, you know. So you got to check out his videos. I recommend them highly. He's very, very smart. And he kind of, figured it's some sort of, I don't know what he figured out exactly, but it definitely has some sort of intelligence, and it's got some mystical properties as well. And he even did some remote viewing stuff, I think, to see what it looked like on the inside of people, and it looked like a spider. Like a spider with a human head.
Oh my God, no. Which,
crazy
of course,
stuff.
Would be a drider for you Dungeons and Dragons folks. We were just talking about that on James's show not that long ago. Crazy stuff. All right, still looking to hear from you guys. We're here with Daryl tonight, and Daryl in New York, good friend of mine, and she's had Morgellons, and she said she's in remission now. Congratulations on that. Frequencies, prayers, vibrations, all the good stuff to keep it there. But what do you guys think about this? Do you have anything you want to ask her about this, or what are some of the questions that I missed? Because clearly I'm only me, and I'm me, you're you, to get together with us, and that's what this is all about. So 702-957-1037, that's 702-957-1037, we'll put you on the show. And also Zenwen in the chat there is dropping some good stuff, some videos in the Discord as well. If you have not joined the Discord yet, please do, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. It's just a place we get together and talk. We share links, videos, ideas, and right now Daryl and I are on Discord, and that's how we did the show tonight. So Discord's an amazing program, and it's completely free, by the way, completely free. And speaking of Discord, let's go to our good friend Kelly. Kelly in Colorado, what's up, my friend? You're on with Troubled Minds with Mike and Daryl. Go right ahead, sir.
Good evening.
Hello. Cutting out just a little bit, sir. Go right ahead.
Now, can you hear me now?
Better.
Oh, how you guys doing tonight?
Good. This is creeping me out a little bit, I got to admit. I don't want to come into contact with some black goo inadvertently. This is not good.
Yeah, Morgellons. Yeah, that's. I've been. I follow this other guy who does a lot of interesting science on some of this stuff, and he's putting together with chemtrails, right? They have. From what he has, I mean, he has like, there's plenty of stuff, the information he spreads out to, where these things are like blue or red fibers or different color fibers that are coming out of sores on the body. They tend to be either mechanically or electrically driven, right? They tend to move when they're around there. It's kind of true with how Daryl is trying to talk about again, with like how they're like in a tube shape, right? So my thing is where it's kind of the same thing what my buddy has done. He's also put it to where it's from chemtrails, right? Because all these different heavy metals that they are spraying on, or even biological weapons. It's like a biological weapon that they're testing on us, I believe, because I know there's plenty of history and evidence that can lead up to that. But for this, it's I want to get into what they call smart dust or nanoparticles. They're like small microprocessors. There's a lady who does a bunch of it for a lot of this chemtrails and stuff like that, and the biological warfare that's being put on the cities of the world, right? Her name is Elena Freeland, right? She's got a few books, and one of the books they're talking about that smart dust, right? And what Brewer Science puts it as, they call them carbon nanotubes, CNTs, and they're flexible electronics, right? that would allow like a high-tech devices to be attached to things like that naturally bend, or stretch, such as like clothing or even the human tissue. Now, nanoparticles, these chemtrails are loaded with them, right? Not only that, that stuff can be absorbed through the skin, digest, breathed in, right? They're really small microprocessors is what they are, more or less, right? And there's this guy, he's a PhD, his name is, Tildengrade Stannenberg. And according to his science, he's an industrial toxicologist, right? And he talks about how some of that stuff that's in that literature, they call them, he calls them memes, right? They're called MEMS, right? And they're microelectronic mechanical sensors is what they are. So and they're actually when they connect and they can be into like a tube-like structure. That's what they call nanotubes. And some of that stuff he's calling it is just plain and simple geoengineered transhumanism is more or less what that is. And he goes on. I'm sorry, am I breaking up?
No, you're good. Good, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, that literature, he talks about like how these things, if they're like an electronic, they can download all the information in, what's up with the body. They're kind of actually introducing into some science now, where they want to inject you with some of this stuff, where these things can monitor your heart rate. Not only just like these smart watches that people wear, that they're working out with and stuff like that. This stuff is already being integrated through your blood system, right? Now, if these things like these Morgellon fibers, they're being they're being woken up through electrical pulses, let's say, right? And they can be able to control these things. Imagine these things being inside your body, and that they're actually can start taking over that whatever they want to do, that's what they're going to do with these things. They can, they can attach themselves, kind of like what she was talking about earlier with the graphene. If you ever look at some of that stuff under a microscope, what it looks like, it actually looks like computer system, like a computer chip, right? It's more or less like, it looks like a microprocessor, what it looks like under the microscope. It's almost like see-through, right? So and when they're seeing some of this stuff, they're saying that they're hold on, let me see. I got a couple notes here. So, they're when he's talking about like their iridescent glitter, right? And once that glitter, they can form, it's kind of like that black goo they want to attach to each other, and so they're building like a small computer inside you. And some of the ones that I've seen, like that graphene, is where it almost looks like a worm, like a tubular worm that comes out of that little plate that looks like a microprocessor. And so what it is, when it turns sideways, you could see on some of the microscopic level, it looks like a tube, right? That's exactly what that graphene and these smart that Elena Freeland has talked about in a lot of her books. She's got a bunch of people that she's talked with, PhDs and stuff like that. That again, they're not part. This is going to be people that that are not part of the whole system. Let's just say, like these doctors or scientists and shit, right? This is all going to be paid through other means. So they're going to get the correct information, right?
Yeah, definitely. I got to say, Kelly, I'm not terribly surprised that you know a bunch about this, because you know a bunch about everything. But what the hell, man? What the hell? You know a lot about everything. Anything for Daryl here? Because Daryl's actually had this and knows quite a bit about it as well. Anything for Kelly, or either way around?
Oh, Kelly's on the money. I love Kelly. You're so on the money about this stuff. It's frightening what they are capable of doing to us. I don't know. I just hope it's not true, but something tells me it might be. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple of examples for that stuff, okay? So the United States government has been doing this type of stuff since the 50s, right? They've been spraying and testing chemicals, biological warfare, all on these cities throughout the United States. I'll give you some examples. One of them you can look up to. You can actually go ahead and look up all these, right? So the first one is called Operation Big City. It was in the 1950s, right? They were spraying zinc cadmium sulfide, right? And what they were doing was spraying first. The FBI and CIA, they were both denying it, right? But they come out finally. They said yes, and they actually even made videos of how they were doing it. So they were taking the exhaust. They made this other. They had this machine that was in the trunk of a car, and they would just connect like through the tube, right? And this was done in New York City. And what they would do is they would drive around all day in this car, and they would do the exhaust. This is what it looks like, the car is smoking. But what it was they were spraying, testing this shit on the public, right? So, and then you have it's called Public Law 105/85. 105 TAC 85 or dash 85, right? Whatever you want to call it. It was actually that was released in May of 1999. But what it actually some people say that there was a conspiracy theorist and saying that it was, but like I'm saying now, in that law though, they're trying to say that what it is for the military and for the government to test biological weapons, right? But they're saying they're not allowed to spray the people. But again, since the 1950s, they've been doing this. So again, also in the light, let's see, we also have Agenda 21 and then Agenda 2030, which allows them. They talk about also spraying the population. There was one in Pasadena Star. It was a notification to the public that the government is going to do some geoengineering, kind of like for the weather. But also down in Florida, in Tampa Bay, they released the United States Army. They released the whooping cough virus on society, right? In the Navy, they sprayed the San Francisco Bay with bacterial pathogens. Right, and also in Savannah, Georgia, and in Avalon Park, I believe it was called in Florida, they released mosquitoes that were like they're doing now. You hear all them, they're trying to do like GMO mosquitoes, but back then it was they were hoping to get people sick with yellow fever, which people did. Some people got that whooping cough, and all this is just for their test to see, if they don't know, most people, society, and everybody else can be like, hell no, you ain't doing all that shit. Well, they're going to do it anyway, whether we, think that they're doing it or not. That's why a lot of these chemtrails that they've already, tested some of the snow that are in the river system. Some of the people that have like lakes and ponds, they sent some of the stuff in, and this stuff that they're finding in the shit, looking down on a micro level, you're looking through this through microscopes, and you're finding all this shit, right? So it's not like it's not been there. So trusting the government like that, for me, that's where a lot of my research comes through a lot of that stuff as well. I tinker around, like I said, I've been down through many rabbit holes, and this one is what really pisses me off, because that's why I have to dig further in this stuff, because I don't know, man. I can't believe they're allowed to even try to even think about doing this shit. But they've been doing this shit for decades, especially out there where you lived out too, and like in Utah and Nevada, they were doing those test sites out there. The one out here in Salt Lake City, or out in Salt Lake where I used to live at down there, there's a bombing range out through there. I was in the
Tonopah.
I'm sorry?
The Tonopah test range?
Yeah, well, there's one in Utah a little bit further, though, where they test, and they, believe that's a new Area 51 now. It's called, it's a lake out there. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's beyond these mountain range. And, they were testing a lot of biological and nerve agents out there. And all that wind, all where it's at, it's west from Salt Lake, the city of like Salt Lake City, Provo, and all that stuff. All that wind was dragging all that shit all through the cities and all across the mountain, because that's where the weather pattern goes to. So, and even in Nevada, to where you're at too, man, they've been testing that, like even like nuclear bombs. And then the Navy over in California, the fog, they were, that's where they were testing a lot of their nuclear biological stuff like that too, because they were spraying San Francisco Bay in the fog and letting that stuff disperse slowly down to the city. So again, I wouldn't put it past them that some of this more, this Morgellons, or Morgellons is part of some kind of a test, I believe. What's interesting is her friend that she brought on she was talking about it was, for the people, lots of negative blood type.
Cutting out, Kelly. Cutting out.
Sorry, but like the negative blood type where her Daryl's friend was talking about was kind of interesting to me, because of the fact that most people on the earth that negative blood type is rare, and some people actually believe that that's not even from Earth. We have different blood types. Most of them are positive, right? And that's the it's not only the type of blood, but it's the what is the word for it? I can't remember the word for it now, but yeah, that's how they separate the lineage of it. But they're finding negative it's more or less off world, or maybe these people are being affected. That got those. It's more affecting that. That seems to be in what she was saying. It seems to be more affecting those type of people.
Yeah, and so to add on to what you were saying too, I want to add this to that. If the normies out there that are like, oh, come on, the government wouldn't just do this stuff to the population. I cite this, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. You guys ever heard of this? Yeah, that's right. Back in 1932, the federal government actually gave young black men syphilis because they were telling them they were treating them and giving them actual vaccinations for other things, but they were giving them syphilis to see what the long-term effects were, sort of in case studies. And there you go. It's right there on the CDC. And yeah, for the folks that don't believe that this shit could be going down, once you hear about the horrific shit that went down in the past, it's pretty wild to not think it's still going down, at least in some capacity, right? Absolutely wild stuff. Yeah. So I'm with you, Kelly. So you're talking about the nuclear testing here in Vegas as well. So it's just north of Vegas, and you're right. So downwind is Cedar City and St. George, Utah. And so there's like a high prevalence of cancer in that area. Why do you think? Because they were lighting off nukes, and the radioactivity was floating downwind into these cities. Crazy stuff. What do you got for Kelly there, Daryl?
Talking about the chemtrails and all that stuff. I had more lead. I was tested for heavy metals, and if you get a heavy metal test, you're going to be alarmed with what they find. A lot of people don't get heavy metal tests, but and the doctor that I was using actually retired as soon as COVID started. She didn't want to be around the city. She was too paranoid, so she just figured she'd just close up shop. And she was like one of the few doctors that tested you for heavy metals and treated you for heavy metals. And I was getting chelation therapy a few years back. I had more lead in my body than AC/DC. I had more heavy metal than AC/DC. The heavy metal group. Anyway, yeah, it's amazing how much metals you're going to find in your body. As far as the Rh negative, I'm an A positive. I just got my blood type done when I went into the hospital, so they had to test me. I was going to mention, Marcy asked me to mention the therapy that I took. I'm not saying this is going to work for anybody. I don't even know if it really worked for me, but something got rid of my Morgellons, and that was when COVID first started. I figured, it was so contagious, I better get something done. And somebody talked me into getting this ozone therapy, which is just ozone shots that apparently is very effective for any kind of virus, apparently. Of course, it's not mainstream medicine, so, you're not going to hear about it. But the doctor that I saw, he swore it would get rid of Lyme disease. You name it, he swore it would work. And I just said, whatever. He never followed up with me. But I got to admit, after 6 months, I forgot I even had Morgellons. And I have to, figure that it must have worked. Because I'm still symptom-free. So I'm figuring that might have been what worked. It's possible. I'm not saying everybody should do it, but side effects were great. You don't have really any negative side effects. Sleep better. Your hair is like darker. He's like 70 something years old, and he's got a full head of hair he doesn't color, and he looks like he's got a tan. He's just so healthy. So it's a very good. You can't really hurt yourself with it. What's in it. It's not an experiment. There's no hidden agenda there. So I'm thinking of going back there and trying it again to see if it helps me with whatever I'm suffering from now. My hair is falling out. I'm just wondering if that's from the 5G. I don't know why my hair is falling out. That's very concerning to me. But we don't know what's going on. We don't know what they're experimenting with. Apparently, there's something going on with all this technology, and we don't know what 5G is going to do to us. Or the underwater stuff, they're just trying too much stuff. I don't know. But I love Kelly's call. It was great, as usual. He's full of information, and that was very, very interesting.
He's still here? What else you got, Kelly?
Okay, when I study this stuff, we know what it kind of reminds me of. It reminds me of a DNA virus. That's what it reminds me of. And I'll give you examples of DNA viruses, which would be like AIDS, or chickenpox is a DNA virus. So what that is what it does is like, okay, AIDS it's HIV first, right? But if you let it explode, you're not taking care of yourself. It's just like any other virus. You balance your pH in your level, and you try to keep an oxygized a body, right? So, but what a DNA virus does is when it's like AIDS, right? It'll go down into your body, and it could, if you take care of your body and stuff, proper way. I don't know. Sometimes with like these people have medications and stuff that'll help their body out. I mean, I try not to go that way, but I'm just gonna put it this way. Now, a DNA virus like AIDS, right? It's HIV, and if it explodes, it can come back. It can fire back up to AIDS. Right, just like chickenpox. If you ever had chickenpox, you got shingles virus in you. It'll come back as a shingles. It's kind of like what this Morgellon is. They get like lesions on their skins and stuff. Where the skin gets flared up, right? Or if you can put it in recession, and it's just small. It's like anything too. It's like a cancer is a virus too. If you can put it in recession by taking care of your body. Not all this. Trying to take care of your body. Stay away from all this, just whatever you put in your mouth, right? What you're eating and stuff and drinking. That's one of the main things. You try to keep a nice balanced body. You don't want to have all that acidicness, and pH. That's where I, looked into like some doctors and stuff where they were talking about like Dr. Sobey. He was another doctor, wasn't like, mainstream doctor. He was, all about like the natural way of like, plants from the jungles of Africa and South America. He was known to where he cured people with like AIDS and cancers and, syphilis and all kinds of weird diseases, body diseases. And what he was saying, and like another doctor I was researching was Dr. Warburg, right? He won the can't remember what award for that, but anyway, they're talking about your body's inflamed from the inside, right? That's the whole point. So like when people think they're feel full with like for example like eating meat, but what it is you're inflamed on the inside because the body can't really take some of these foods or these fake foods that we're digesting or trying to digest in our body. But for example, that's what I just want to kind of put out is that's what it kind of reminds me of is a DNA virus, how it can hide away in the body, and you can live with those type of things. They just flare up, and you got to you got to take care of it. If the less you're taking care of your body, the more this type of stuff is going to flare up. That's where it's kind of interesting to me when I listen to or even research some of that stuff. It almost is like but when so when I researched that, some of the or the literature I'm reading telling me that people that go get, that have Morgellons, they go get tested, and they're saying like they test for like bacteria or like infections or anything, and all of it comes out negative. So, but it's interesting to me that I don't know, man. That's why, like, I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust doctors. I don't trust. I mean, I if I have to, I'll go where, like if I got my arm chopped off or something, I need a thing sewn back on. But like, I try to do everything all the natural way, right? So when I read some of that stuff like that, that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's just something like that, and how it just can stop, come back, stop.
Yeah, totally. I think with this too, like there's so much to it that not everybody experiences the exact same thing. Also, right? There's the whole bit of some people get some symptoms, some people get different symptoms, some people get all the symptoms, right? But I think it's wild that we have like the sort of that hallucination effect as well, which seems to point to me to maybe something that's a little bit more control-y type stuff, right? Meaning like maybe created somewhere, maybe used as some sort of experimentation for who knows what reasons. But that just seems wild that not just do you have all this like itching, burning, like feeling like things are crawling around underneath your skin, but then also you're starting to see things and hear things, and right? I mean that becomes super wild right there. Talk about making you feel ridiculous crazy. That would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're thinking about an experiment like that. So that's another one too. That's where it takes you down to another rabbit hole, where you talk about what do they call it, like a micro or a microwave, like mind control, right? How we talked about some of this stuff where they're doing low frequency microwave or waves out there to slowly they can control mind control, or even now if you got something like these, like the smart dust or this Morgellons, where these nanotubes can be controlled within the body. Who knows now? But that's a scary thought when they're starting to mess around with that, because these mad scientists is where these experiments is. You've heard about some of the stuff from Germany and like Japan scientists where they were testing some weird shit on like some of their Chinese and Korean prisoners and stuff, man. And I don't know, man, some of these mad scientists, they got these crazy ideas where they try to go down on the, and it's true though. You can, just like what Tesla's saying too, even through like, through alpha waves, everything's on a certain alpha wave, through 8-6 between like the human body and the mind, right? Our alpha waves between 6 to 8 megahertz. And if you can tap into that, he claims that if you could do that, you could control, a society. And that's what it seems like the government has been tinkering with. And that rabbit hole that I've been down to is like, I mean, I got patents over patents where this shit's been started since the 30s, 40s, 50s, where they first just started messing with these, Now it's all through like all this, like I said, everything wants to be, wants to be Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or smart this and smart that. Who knows? I mean, like these 5G towers are every 50 feet. I don't want to go down that type of where conspiracy. But man, you put 2 and 2 together, it's almost kind of it's kind of like synchronicity, man. It's like falls right in place.
Yeah, definitely. Daryl, anything there?
Yeah, I mean, there's something very artificial about it all. I don't think it's found in nature. I mean, Marcia and I both know this woman named Zoe Huang that did the DNA of the Morgellons, and she said that it's definitely man-made. She looked at the sequences. She was a DNA expert, and she said this is not found in nature. It's definitely man-made, according to Zoe Huang from Korea, I believe. And also, the other thing I want to mention was the fibers. They said, they're fibers. They're just from your clothing. Well, they looked, the FBI has like 1,400 or 14,000 fibers that are known to, to this earth. And not one of them was identifiable as anything that we have on this planet that's known. No natural fiber or unnatural fiber, no synthetic fiber or, natural fiber that we've ever created. It's unidentifiable in an FBI lab, So that's food for thought there, Am I still on?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Kelly? Maybe he left.
I guess we can't live in a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good idea,
Yeah, I mean, like think about that just in terms of like a conspiracy theorist, right? It's like oh, the joke is the tinfoil hat, right? And you can't wear tinfoil because they don't make it anymore. Yeah, it's aluminum foil, right? So you can't even get that. But now like the next generation of actual conspiracy theory is I just sleep in a Faraday cage. like what the shit is the world coming to? I mean,
this my bunker. We got to get a bunker together here. I think that that's the only way. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about magnets, silver, copper. There's oh God, but we've tried everything. We've tried wearing copper bracelets, sleeping with copper, sleeping with silver, drinking silver, colloidal silver. There's somebody that makes this gold. It's called we were talking about gold the other day. They make this thing out of gold. It's called I can't remember now. Oh God, not obsidian, but it's like Omaris gold. I can't remember the term for it. But apparently, it's also very effective against Morgellons or any kind of viruses, etc. I can't remember. Omis, I think it's called. Now I can't remember what it stands for. Because I've had a couple of Baileys. I'm drinking Baileys. I mean,
damn it, Daryl! I'm drinking water, Daryl, because I drink too much beer. Okay. I'm drinking water. You're a couple ahead of me tonight. All right. Yeah. So okay, but the thing is, right? So these things may or may not help, and I think that's the question, right? So we don't even know what causes it in the first place. So how can you even like try and treat it without? I tell you what, like again, just the whole thing's a terrifying notion. Now, what about taking this out to like the alien hypothesis? Like you said, maybe this maybe got dropped on us from like a comet, like zipping by, sort of thing, space dust, that sort of thing. Like, and you mentioned that like kind of red rain in India, or no, Sri Lanka, I think it was. So. Do you think there's a possibility here that maybe this is something that's been introduced recently from someplace else like that? That maybe it's not, let's say it's not a chemtrail or like a government sort of thing made in a laboratory, but what if this is an actual alien virus or something to that effect? What do you think about that?
I've always thought about that, when in fact I thought that, wouldn't it be funny if the aliens did invade us and you couldn't see them because they were microscopic? Wouldn't that be something, They're so small you can't even see them, but yet they're everywhere, I mean, they say the meek will inherit the earth. Talk about meek, you could barely see them. They're so small, they're nano. Maybe that's what they're talking about. The meek can inherit the earth.
Exactly.
But
you know what's interesting too? I was thinking about this in terms of just the wider scope of it. How the symptoms are kind of all over the place. People have a hard time dealing with it. They don't get direct relief or help from many doctors. It sounds back to when we started the show tonight. It sounds like it does have some parallels with that Havana syndrome, doesn't it? In that, like, we don't know exactly where it's from. Now they say it's, first they said it's a directed energy weapon, then they said it wasn't, then they said it was crickets, and then they said it wasn't, and then they said it was this, and it wasn't that, and then this is the other thing, and now they're, I think in some cases they're determining that the Havana syndrome and the effects of it are psychosis. We're making this shit up.
Easy to write off, right? Easy to not take the blame. I don't think they want to ever take the blame. I think they're going to defend themselves till the end. I mean, they're trying to say that blood clots are due to the weather, or you're in control of your own stroke or whatever. I guess getting hit in the head, and dying is also another thing that's your fault. I just had one of the people I grew up with. I found out died recently of a head injury, and explain that, and he was triple, and double jabbed and whatever, and he hurt his head and died also, So people are, mysterious ways people are going these ways are trying to be explained through, other things, other things that are, anyway. What I'm talking about. Yeah,
definitely. That's the Bob Saget, right? That just happened to him. He bumped his head and passed away. You're like, what? Like, how does that become a thing? And not only that, what's weird about that? We were talking about it on the news show. Is that he had fractures in his skull and around his eyes? Like, What? How do you accidentally fracture your skull and not know it and then just go to bed? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's a mystery about that. I mean, either he was like, it sounded like he was murdered almost, he had multiple fractures. How do you just like write that off, as something normal? I don't know, it's a mystery. It's a mystery, but my high school friend also, had a similar death. So I got to wonder, he wasn't murdered. He was, he hit his head and died.
Right,
so,
right.
I've seen people, if you see any videos of people that are like falling down, and dying, like athletes or comics, lately, I mean, they don't have any warning, they just drop. It's like a phenomenon. If you see people just dropping, they don't even drop their fall. They don't even stop, like they have no notice. They just drop. They collapse, I don't know. It's very mysterious. All of this is mysterious.
Yeah,
I think they're all connected. I think they're all connected in some way. There's something very strange about it all. Like Marcia's removed these. I did mention it. She's removed these tubular things out of her skin that looks exactly like what a mortician had just removed out of somebody that had died, out of their veins. Like they had these huge like veins that looked like a gigantic Morgellon, and they were blood clots. And they never saw anything like that before. And we have seen things like that before because we've removed them from our body. So they look like gigantic Morgellons. I got to be honest with you. There's got to be some connection,
Pretty strange.
It must be something. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. We got a few minutes left. If anybody wants to ask Daryl any questions about Morgellons or have any theories here, what do you think? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Click the Discord. If you guys haven't joined the Discord link, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. Come say hi. We're on Discord right now with Daryl. That's how we're doing the show. With Kelly, that's how we're doing the show. So it's not just we can share, just type like an old school chat room. You can share pictures and all the rest of it. Share links and ideas and hop in here and chat like it's a telephone too. It's a pretty amazing program and it's completely free. Please join. Come say hi. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Let's go to, looks like Joseph in Iowa. Go right ahead, sir. Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Hey, I kind of have the idea that we could be or this could be explained by like us coming in on like a beam, or not like how like we got hit by a comet.
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe in that comet there was a molecule of intelligence which collectively built all the other molecules into us, making us like built or like structured off of these molecules, and then like maybe other stuff was like if it was alien, like the strings would be like the dinosaurs that we collected, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to like the idea of panspermia, that's what they say happens, right? Like one of the theories of how life gets scattered around, the galaxy or whatever, is it happens like that through like comet dust and things, like ends up in like the rain clouds, comes down, and it's literally raining life, or at least the building blocks of life. So if that's the case, and that's literally like a legitimate scientific basis for where life may have come from in the galaxy, then it stands to reason that things like this, unknown, it's sort of to science in that we don't know what causes them and all the rest of this stuff, that maybe that's what's happening. Maybe it is sort of an alien rain per se. I mean, I don't think it's too far out there to suggest that may be the case here.
Yeah, and maybe it's still raining.
It's always raining somewhere. That's for damn sure, right?
Yeah. And I wonder if like manipulating that can, like if they can manipulate that, then that could be like the result of like, or what you would call, what you guys are calling like the virus, you know?
Right.
It would be kind of man-made as soon as you put your finger on it.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, that's basically all I had on my mind.
Right on. Appreciate it. You're the best, Joseph. Hydro Hose. Check it out. Link in the description.
Yeah.
Do the best, brother. Have a great night. Good stuff. I mean, some of this tracks, right? It seems to make sense of where this may have come from. We don't know. We're doing a little speculating. We drink what we call the maybe juice here, and just try and consider what the hell's really going on in the world we live in. But yeah, I mean that Sri Lanka red rain, right? I mean, that right there. There may be something to it. What else you got, Daryl? What else? You had a bunch of stuff you wanted to cover. Anything else you want to jam in here? We can circle back at some point and do another one of these. We don't have to try and get everything.
I hope so.
Yeah. But just,
I barely covered a fraction of what I was thinking about. But the things like the self-assembly thing, I've been seeing this done. Like you could see it on video. I mean, this stuff will work with frequencies. In fact, somebody was videotaping something tonight that was so whack. I mean, I would call him like, conspiracy theorist maybe, but he was videotaping something done with frequencies in somebody's room that not only made black goo form on the wall, but it made a portal, literally a little like a doorway to another dimension that looked like you could kind of sneak through it. I'm like, this is a crazy stuff that's all related. That you can discuss. It's a rabbit hole. I mean, for sure, it's a rabbit hole. But there's something sounds correct about it. There's something, I don't know, maybe juice, whatever. But, the electronic frequencies, like people have used frequencies. I forgot to mention Spooky 2 or Rife machines. I had a Spooky 2, which is like Rife technology. You should see the amount of programming that you could program to get rid of conditions. You don't even have to be there physically. You could put a toenail in there and use somebody's DNA and treat multiple people simultaneously. Ask Marcia about the Spooky 2. She still is using it, and she'll use it for people remotely that need help, And it's a frequency machine, and apparently in Germany they made this in the 30s, I think. It's called Rife technology, and people could buy them now for $55 and then upload programs to their cell phones and sleep with them at night and get rid of their headaches and whatever other conditions that they say they can get rid of. So I would look into that. It's something to think about, but it's all based on frequencies, and I think they realize that frequencies could be good for you or bad for you. And of course, who knows what they're using them on now. I don't think there was anything good that came out of it except it kind of shut him up, I think. Oh, and I wanted to mention one more thing. Somebody recently died. I'm going to mention two things. But the guy that discovered the AIDS virus or the HIV virus just died. And he was amazing. I mean, if you look at the other technology he was looking at, he was able to reproduce the HIV virus in water. And he diluted the water like 100 times, which was equivalent to putting 1 drop of water in the ocean. He uploaded the frequency that was left over by the water that he had diluted and emailed it to somebody 1,000 miles away that used the frequency of that water to reconstruct the DNA of HIV. Can you believe that? I mean, this is unbelievable. This is not talked about. I just looked at one of his videos, and I don't know why he died like 2 days ago. And don't ask me his name. I had it on the tip of my tongue, but
yeah, I saw the headline.
He was. You saw what I'm talking about, But I started looking into the other stuff he had discovered, and they started writing him off as some old kook, even though he was a Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Prize. He discovered, supposedly, and now they're discounting him totally. That we still didn't identify the thing that causes HIV. I just heard this today. They're trying to say they don't know what causes HIV, and now they're, starting to discover this. People are testing positive for HIV that have taken some experimental, medication, and they're trying to write this off that, we don't really know what HIV is anymore. They're discounting the Nobel laureates. What's up with that? How convenient is that?
That's how we live in the upside down, Daryl. Welcome to the upside down. Yeah, super
WTF? Hello.
Yep. 100%. Let's go to Tambam. Tambam in South Africa. What's up? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Daryl. Go right ahead.
Hi. How are you?
Doing very well. How about you?
Tambam.
Hello.
Good. I'm all good. Thank you.
Right on. What do you think?
Okay, so listen, whoa, this is not a joke. I mean, I've heard of the whispers before about this ailment, but I never thought it would be this severe. And it kind of makes sense that it's, like you said, it's like a meteor. It cannot be, it's either man-made and injected into the people or dispersed within the population, or it's out of this world, come through our atmosphere. So I was thinking, maybe Daryl, have you ever thought about, I say this very lightly, but have you ever thought about flipping the switch in terms of, instead of like the hallucinations that people have been seeing and the feeling of crawling on your skin, have you ever thought that if it's come from a meteor and it's infected a few people, or how many people on the planet, that it is actually an alien that is, or alien parasite maybe, or not parasite, more friendly, that's flipping your DNA, changing it into actually decalcifying your pineal gland. And this is why you're hallucinating and you're seeing things, because the pineal gland being decalcified is lifting the veil of the what we're projecting or what we're seeing on Earth. And what you're seeing is actually the real Earth and more spiritual, what is happening in between humans on a more spiritual level. Instead of humans seeing on a specific bandwidth, your bandwidth of frequency is more wide. And that's what you're seeing. And the itchiness or the feeling that something's crawling on you is more of a DNA change, and your body's trying to adjust and become a superhuman, and it's painful.
Oh, that's a possibility. I mean, I think it's, I don't know if our pineal gland is making us more aware. I think I've always thought of it more of a fungal kind of effect where you have when you take like a magic mushroom, which also somehow makes you see God or see spiritual things, in another world. I mean, the fungal aspect of it, to me, was what I thought was making me see things that maybe other people couldn't see, but I was sure I was seeing. I didn't feel that they were ever hallucinations for real. I felt I was tapping into something. I didn't feel like I was seeing things. I definitely didn't feel like they were imagination. I couldn't imagine anything that I was seeing. Like, it was not in my realm of imagination. Like, the things were so bizarre, I couldn't make them up. You can't make the stuff up that we saw. I mean, I've seen...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. So with your pineal gland is not calcified with fluoride and all these things that they've successfully done to everyone on the planet. When it's not like that, people are actually superhuman. And this is why I personally think that, a lot of alien species are interested in our planet, because we possess the pineal gland, which allows us to live both in the physical and see beyond our bandwidth. So we have we can intertwine between different dimensions, mentally and physically. So that makes us super special, right? But because we have been infiltrated with fluoride, we have dropped down our frequency, our vibration, and we are living on more of a physical plane than anything else. And once that the fluoride has been decalcified from our brain, then we can see all these wonderful things. It's basically lifting the veil. And we can see all these things that are happening in the sky. You maybe could even see reptilians walking around you, experience things, and it's scary, and it's different, and it hurts. And it's because it's unnatural. What we've been indoctrined to is physical stuff, not supernatural stuff. And I do believe that we are more than that. We, as humans, are 10 times more than that. What they give us, or what they tell us we are, or what we have. And so I was just thinking, maybe if you just try and flip the switch, and instead of seeing it in a negative light, see it more as in a different way, and see where it takes you. Do the research, see where it takes you.
Right. I could see what you're saying. I think some people have embraced it, like that one woman that was on Clarence's show, on the Closer Encounter show. I mean, she embraced it. She definitely thought it was a gift, and I tried to follow it. If it didn't feel so awful, and it wasn't so uncomfortable, and wasn't so painful, I would embrace it probably as well. But it's hard to do that when it's so debilitating. I can't even. It makes you have OCDs. I mean, it does kind of make you into a kook, after all, because the symptoms are so debilitating, and it affects your nervous system. I mean, it's not a comfortable thing. You're not comfortable in your own skin. You don't want to touch anyone. You don't want anyone to touch you. It's so uncomfortable and sticky. It's hard to embrace something like that, even though I can see I see where you're coming from totally. I think there are people that are spiritual that have been talking to, supposedly contacting aliens and have communications with them and have even been healed by them. And I don't see them coming and healing the people with Morgellons. I wish they would. I wish they could get rid of this for them. It's very uncomfortable for them. But I don't know. If you could equate the hallucinations to being enlightened. Maybe that's a side effect that's maybe a positive one. That's a good thought, though. I love it. I love you, Tam Bam. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You rock.
I just feel terribly, so sorry for people who like what you went through and what you're going through, and not having symptoms is such a relief for you. I'm trying to see the positive, not see the positive. I'm just trying to flip the switch to see if maybe it's not the label that they've given you of Morgellons disease or ailment. Sorry, it's not a disease. It's more of, let's see if it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a superhuman enhancement, or maybe you are chosen as an alien conduit, and this is how they can get to you, because they need to kind of synchronize the DNA match. So they're trying to combine your DNA with their DNA to make your conduit. You don't know.
Oh, great thought. Very interesting, Tam. As usual, you're so cool.
Oh, thanks. How are you?
You're the best.
That was just my thought, and I just thought, okay, let's try and see the silver lining.
I wish it was that great. It would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great, but yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible. I'm never going to say never. Never say never here. That's for sure.
Right. No, never say never. Okay, well, that was it. I just wanted to just share my thoughts.
Good point, though. Great point. Loved it, Tam Bam.
Appreciate it, Tam Bam. Cool. Always good stuff. Tell South Africa we said hello.
Sure.
I will.
Fantastic. We got time for you guys. A couple more minutes if you want to jump in here. Got questions for Daryl. 702-957-1037. We're talking Morgellons. And is this, again, like there's some folks that completely call this a psychosis situation. And it doesn't seem right to me. This, just writing people off as nuts and trying to give them some sort of drugs. And, well, I guess that's the world we live in, right? Yeah. Yeah. So 702-957-1037. Thanks for all the amazing callers tonight, all the people who've contributed to this. Special thanks again to Daryl, because I would never know anything about this if it wasn't for her. And this is the type of stuff we need to talk about. This is what Troubled Minds is for considering the possibilities here and getting the word out that there is help if you need it. I think that's the biggest thing here. Probably the biggest takeaway is that for me and for other people that may be suffering out there from this is that you are not alone. I think that's the biggest thing, is that there are
absolutely
those Facebook groups, wherever. We'll have some links actually in the Discord, and I'll find some and put them in the description down below as well. I didn't think to do that before we started, because I was thinking in terms of let's figure this out, let's learn as much about it as possible, let's do those things, and I wasn't even considering that it's one of those support group type situations. So oversight on my part, and this is what I mean. Like you can't know everything. You just can't. Like you try and think of all the angles and you still miss them. So special thanks to Daryl again for peeling out some time and being prepared for this and knowing exactly what the hell you're talking about. And thank you so much for spending it with us, my friend. You're the best, and you already know.
Oh, Thank you so much for having this, platform that we could talk about this on. I think it's great that you let me do this, and I'm so grateful for everybody that called in. You've all been so informative and so smart about the subject, and I hope it helped anybody that listens in from now on until the future. I hope it helps somebody, resolve some of their problems as best that they can. We're all here to help each other. So, especially people with Morgellons, we know you've lost a lot of support from your family and your friends, and we're here. Don't worry. There's always people that'll support you guys.
I think it's disgusting how family can just disown you like that. That is what family is for support. And, it just shows me more and more that sometimes family isn't blood. And having a support group, that would be very, very interesting, Daryl, if you can have like an AA meeting kind of thing and see what you gather together having this thing and what information you can come up with together. And if there is some kind of more of a higher self connection to each other.
That's a good point. I think there are some, there's some interesting support groups on Facebook, and there are thousands of members. I mean, I have one myself, but I think there is one something similar. I don't know if it's exactly that topic, but I go into every detail about, you just put in Morgellons under groups in Facebook, and you're going to come up with a laundry list of certain things from so many points of view, chemtrails, spiritual aspects. There's a girl that called in tonight, Lisa, who's got a channel. I think it's something with God in it. I can't remember the name, but I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it. And she comes from a very godlike, biblical point of view, and they're all very spiritual there in that sense. So she's got a YouTube channel, and she's got like over thousands of followers. And she goes live quite often, Lisa. So I'm really grateful that she called in. She's got a lot to offer on the spiritual aspect of the whole thing, on the religious maybe side of it, perhaps.
Good stuff.
But
ladies,
it's all good.
Ladies, real quick, we got a phone call. We got a phone call from Vicky. Let's hear what she's got to say, and then
Hi, Vicky.
Then we'll wrap this up. Let's go, Vicky in Illinois. Vicky in Illinois. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike and Tambam and Daryl. How are you tonight?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. No complaints out of me. What are your actual thoughts here? Do you think that we're onto something, or does this freak you out, or are you familiar with this?
Well, I know that I've talked before to Daryl about it. We had a discussion about it, on the after show quite a while back, maybe around October or so, when she was telling us about it. And I was thinking about it as I've been listening. Sorry, for a little while I didn't hear because my phone went dead. I had to put it back on charger. But, so I don't know if I'm going to be asking questions that's already been asked or not, because, like I said, my phone went dead for a little while.
Okay, no problem.
I was wondering, Daryl, kind of along the lines of what Tambam was saying, I was wondering, most people with this Morgellons, do they have a certain type of blood type?
Oh, thank you for asking that. Yeah, Marcia brought that up. You're right. Why would you ask that, though? Marcia did bring that up, that there's an Rh negative aspect to it, though I'm not Rh negative. But, there is something to it. Why did you ask?
Because the Rh negative blood tends to be different than the positive. And we tend to get that other people don't get.
Mm-hmm.
And have a bit of, like, I have premonitions a lot. When people are going to die or whatever. But even since I was a kid, I've had premonitions about something. And I was just wondering if it's more or less of like an RH negative factor or not?
It's a good question. Very good question. I mean, Marcia did bring that up. So, Clifford Cornicon said that all patients' blood has been altered. So I'm not sure, whether it's negative or positive, but she did bring something up about the RH negative aspect, and I'm not sure. I didn't have my blood work done by anybody that could tell me anything about it being altered or not. They weren't looking for anything, so they didn't find anything. And they're not going to find anything, even if they did test it, unless they're maybe at that institute in Oklahoma, the C.H. Holman Institute. But I think you got something there for sure, and I think Cam Bam did too. There is something spiritual about RH negative. I've heard about RH negative. I think that you might have blood that's not from this planet. That makes you a little bit more spiritual and maybe more, paranormal or giving it a second sight,
Also, some people say that those of us who are RH negative has something to do with aliens.
That's right. I heard that. I heard about that.
So I was just,
there's some correlation.
I was thinking about if it's blood type, because everybody's not getting this disease or the ailment, whatever. Have you had anybody you've been around that ended up catching it from you?
No, it's not. I don't believe it's contagious at all. I don't think you could give it to somebody. I think it's in the environment personally. I believe you either have symptoms or you don't. I've seen it on other people. I've seen it on my friends. I've seen it on people on television. Like, once you have it in you, you can spot it a mile away. There's something about you that, it's in you, so you can identify it. I mean, I could diagnose people. I could tell them if they had, if they did a Zoom call with me, if they had Morgellons, you could just see it. You could see it on their skin. It makes shadows on your skin. It crawls all over you. It does. It's on top of your skin. It's in your skin. It's under your skin. They're very morphetic. They can morph and change and shapeshift. So there's something alien about them. I got to say, we call shapeshifters or interdimensional. There's something very, very odd about them. So there's something, and once you have it in you, there's something about you that gets sensitive to it. And you can spot it everywhere. You could see it in your environment. I was always cleaning my house because I could see it. I could see it growing. I could see it moving. It could even spell stuff. If I told you the things I've seen spelt in the wooden floors or in my bathroom, I even have myself taking a bath where you could see the stuff on the walls changing shapes. It's just like a blob, some kind of blob. And it's visible. It's not invisible. There's some kind of mold aspect. So there's a fungal, I don't know. It's very mysterious for sure. I don't know if it's spiritual or physical, but some of it is very physical for sure. But there is some sort of paranormal aspect to it, when you can see things that other people can't see. I don't know if it's paranormal. Once we understand it, it will be normal. I don't know. But very, very interesting. Go ahead.
Well, maybe two questions. One, did you ever do something, try to open a portal in your house, such as Ouija board?
I have done that too. Yes, I have. And I also had a portal open, or a I don't know what you would call it, but I had some sort of small way station open up and disappear while I was not at home. I just videotaped something that I had a feeling had a lot of activity, and certainly it opened up into a very miniature kind of way station. It looked like a terminal, like an airport terminal, and people were traveling in and out, and they all took off, and the thing disappeared. It just disappeared. It appeared and disappeared, and it looked like the size of a toaster oven. And I also have done a Ouija board in my apartment. I got to be honest, that made a lot of problems in my apartment for many, many years. I had cabinets opening and closing. I wasn't in the same room. I had things falling off in other rooms. things falling on me while I was cleaning, falling off the refrigerator that, would clear a ledge. So, yeah, I had a lot of strange things happen after doing that Ouija board, not just in this apartment, but in the apartment I lived in Toronto. That was very disturbing. I had, definitely heard things and had presences very close to me. And I can't explain them. And I'm not even that way, I'm very atheistic in my upbringing, but I couldn't deny that there was something there. Definitely something there.
And have you ever had real experiences with aliens, UFOs?
I've seen UFOs and I've seen giants in the flesh. I have seen, pretty close up in flesh and blood, a giant. I saw one giant really close up, and I've seen them from a distance and on video. And interacted with certain things, elemental type of things. I can't describe them, and I can't even, justify them. But yeah, I have experienced that stuff. And this all happened after I was infected with Morgellons. Oh, I don't know.
That's what I was kind of...
Not before, though. I definitely didn't have it before. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It's something supernatural or alien.
There is something weird about it, that's for sure. I thought they were some sort of Russian spy alien mice, actually, in the beginning. I thought they were really smart, and I thought they were all mice. I thought they were imported from Russia. I didn't know what the hell I was experiencing, but it certainly was weird. But I would get attacked in my own home. I mean, that was the craziest part. I would, even hear cats meowing and hissing and fighting even. And I wasn't even in the same room. But I had left a recording device and certainly heard him. And I've seen cats leaping in my living room, as well as I have videotapes of them on my YouTube channel where I videotaped spirits of cats that I videotaped. So I have a lot of stuff going on with that stuff. Don't have any explanation for it, but I've witnessed a lot of weird stuff for the last 12 years, I would say, or maybe more now, since 2007, 2008, 2007, I'd say. Yeah. Anyway.
Great questions, Vicky. Great questions, Vicky.
Thank you, Vicky.
On there about it, because it made me think more too. I've been thinking different things, and then when Tam Bam went ahead and was saying something, more things clicked in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I think start thinking of in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Something good would happen. And I know, if I'm itchy or something, I have a lot of mosquito bites or whatever, and I go being positive about it and stop thinking negative about it, it stops itching.
That's great. Well, Vicky, you're awesome, I think that's awesome. This whole the way you look at it.
I'm going to get off here and let you guys finish up.
You're the best, Vicky. Thank you so much for the call. Great stuff as always. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for listening, Kay.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
You too. Speak with you soon. There you go. Vicky in Illinois. Another good friend of mine, good friend of the show. And always got great stuff over there. Usually lurking in the chat, but every once in a while we'll get a call from Vicky, and she's always blowing people's brains. Good stuff in a good way. So all right, let's wrap this. So we got a one more bot I got to kill in the chat here. Oh, done. I don't even have to.
I've got something to say.
James did it. Okay, go right ahead. Tam Bam.
Okay, so you're talking about RH negative. So the research I've done, this is just a small amount, but research RH negative, they say is alien blood. I've got an echo. Okay, there it's gone. So RH negative, they say, is alien blood, and I find that a lot of empaths are RH negative, and you'll find with empaths, actually 80% of all empaths are on some kind of antidepressants, and not antidepressants in the way you think of, it's you're trying to get rid of the depression, but you're actually just trying to get rid of the sensitivity, because empaths are extremely sensitive. Me being on an antidepressant is really because I just cannot handle it. For me, everything is loud. So whether you talk or a bird sings or a car drives past, it sounds incredibly loud altogether instead of compartmentalizing the sounds. Some is distant, some is close, some is wherever. So that for me, antidepressants work very, very well. And because I am an empath, and it also calms my skin because I'm extremely sensitive as well when it comes to touch. And what I've also learned is that Rh negative blood, seeing it as it is air quote alien blood, is very susceptible to human diseases. We really can't. We're the main ones who get the diseases that you can't explain. And the Rh positive bloods are susceptible to alien diseases. So they'll get. It's. I can't explain it all in detail. It's all confused in my head already. But Daryl, I want to know what's your blood test. I mean, seeing as you air quote the ambassador for Morgellons and you're really going out there to help everybody, I would love to see your blood type, and also, even maybe checking your genetic history, your lineage, and see what they can catch with that, and how far back is it? Because if you were Rh positive, and just say your blood has been manipulated now, and you get it tested now, and it's kind of switched to a Rh negative, you're actually a null. So being an Rh null means you're a conduit between the two blood types, and you're a conduit in the trifecta of space-time.
Well, I just had my blood done, but I don't think can you be A positive and RH negative? I don't know if they're combinable. But I'm an A positive according to my last blood work. I've never really, I think I did have my blood work done many years ago, and I think it was also A positive. So I don't think it changed. It didn't change, but I don't know if there's is it A, O, B, and then there's RH negative? Is there an RH factor that's something other than positive and negative, A, B, C, and, zero?
A, B, C. There's null. Is A, O, B, and null.
Right. And then can you be A positive and RH negative? Or can you be O positive and RH negative or whatever?
I don't think it works.
So if you're negative, you're negative.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I do know that it doesn't work like that. It's your blood type is the one thing, and that's that. So yeah. Let's wrap it up, ladies. My legs are giving out. Let's roll it.
Okay.
Here we go.
No, I'm done. Thank you for enlightening us and opening our eyes to something that's really, really different and unexplored. And it's horrible that what you're going through, and everyone else. And jeepers, I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry.
Appreciate it.
You're good. Thank you for calling, Jim. Thank you so much, Michael. This was a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I don't know if it was fun, but it was informative and interesting. I hope everybody got something out of it. If you learned something new tonight, that's great. And, have empathy for the people that are suffering from other things that you're not suffering from. I think empathy is the main key, and don't judge anybody.
There you go.
Because they're sick, especially if they're sick.
There's the biggest one. There's the biggest one. As we finish this up tonight, the biggest thing to me is this. Don't forget, people out there are struggling with things you can't even see, and you'll never be able to see. So be nice. Be kind to people. And thank you, Daryl, for spending your time with us tonight. You were amazing. Appreciate it very much. We will talk about this again in the future. This is not a one and done. There's a ton here to get into, and as I learn more, we'll do that as well. You're the best. You're the best. Let's roll it. Anything else, folks? Anything else? What else you got? We've got about minute and a half.
Thank you so much. Be strong. Be true. Be sure.
I got it. All right, I got it. All right, appreciate it. Thanks for all the amazing calls tonight. Thanks for all the folks that just care. Thanks for caring. Thanks for spending your time with us. Thanks for doing that. It does mean a lot to not just me, but to a lot of other people out there. So thank you very much for all that. Thanks for the enthusiasm. If you want to help the show, you know what to do. Spread the word. Just let people know, hey, check this out. There's a conversation going on. It's not about UFOs all the time. It's not about Morgellons all the time. It's about all kinds of things all the time. And that's why we do this, to get together and just consider all the things. So do spread the word. If you we got Patreon, of course. We got you can sign up at Rockfin. You can sub up on Twitch as well through Amazon Prime at no additional cost. So there's a whole bunch of that going on. But also, if you don't want to spend any money, that's totally cool. It's not required at all. Just you want to help the show, listen to the podcast feed, Spotify, iTunes, any of the rest of that. Just listen to some old shows. I promise you, there's some gold in there. There's some stuff you haven't seen or heard that you won't hear or see anywhere else. So appreciate that. Go check it out, and we'll see you. We'll see you there. We'll see you there and here, and more Troubled Minds tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And they're here. Robert's here. Robert's in the chat. I don't see Rohan, but yeah. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get the hell out of here. And once again, this is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. We're here with Daryl, our good friend in New York. Thanks to all the amazing folks that called in tonight. Thanks to all the amazing folks in chat. Thanks to all the amazing folks out there listening to the podcast feed. I see you. That's a lot of damn downloads happening, guys, so thank you very much for that. And as we finish, this one's for Daryl. It goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. You got a Margaret Mead for us, Daryl?
Oh, you do it better for me. I can never remember how she said it. It doesn't take a whole lot of people to change the world. It's a small group. I don't know.
I got it.
How good?
Here's the this is the Daryl tro. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. From Margaret Mead. Thanks a lot, guys. Daryl, you're the best.